whether or not we've got the quality options on Twitch. If not, I'm going to have to reset the stream again. And if so, hey, there they are. So I'm just going to get out of Chrome and into Planetfall. So it's Labor Day today. I hope those of you who had the holiday, this is at least true for Canada. I don't know about other regions. Apparently New Zealand's is in October. Yeah, so my usual pattern is to not to stream on holidays because I noticed that it's kind of been grinding away at me a little bit. My holidays don't necessarily feel like holidays when doing the stream stuff. The catch is that I'm also very bad at figuring out holidays. And in fact, work from home has sort of accelerated or aggravated that problem, not accelerated, because I don't have coworkers who are asking like what I'm going to do on the long weekend or whatever. I still have coworkers. They're just, we're not talking. Or more accurately, I'm hearing them ask each other what they're up to. So the one thing I don't like doing, I do think it's important to take care of yourself. I mean, I sort of understand the impulse if you do this for a living that, any break you take is potentially time where people are not going to be subscribing. Or where people are finding competing streams. I'm not at that point. And I think, it's very stupid of me to try, off cast, or if somebody brings up a personal problem that they have, to sit there and talk about how important it is to take care of yourself and not do that for myself. So this invites the question, why, why am I streaming today? The other factor of it is, there's a little bit of drift in the start time. There's a little bit of, a little inconsistency, which I'd like to try and tighten down on if I can. The one thing I don't like doing is canceling the day of. And also, I do know on previous casts, I sort of said, Monday we'll do this. And so, if I say I'm going to do something on Monday, barring unforeseen circumstances, power going out, internet not working, sickness. Although even then, I've definitely streamed sick before too. I really don't like the idea of backing out. I don't necessarily feel beholden to a commitment that I made sort of under a misapprehension. But it's kind of it's a severity question. And in the end, I really like Age of Wonders Planetfall. Now is a good time for me to mention that I was given a key from Triumph or Paradox or whoever I should be crediting this for. And in fact, it was Age of Wonders Planetfall as well as Revelations and Invasions. So I'm very grateful for that. I've really been enjoying this game. I know it's a little bit of a roll of the dice for my regular viewers. Because for a while Monday was sort of always a Paradox grand strategy game, but of course Paradox has grown as a publisher, and as it happens, there's a number of games that I think fit rather well in terms of the things that I like. And then of course there was like BattleTech. That was convenient for me because I was a Kickstarter backer of BattleTech, and so it just meant that there was an extra day that I could creep that into. I will admit, I almost didn't cast today because some of you know on the Paradox front, I started last week waiting for a reply to an email about a key for Crusader Kings 3, which some of you know. I mean, I was streaming back, I think I started with the Way of Life DLC. Or maybe Charlemagne had just been released. One of the two. As I was waiting for an email I never got a reply to. In fact, reached out to the guy on Twitter, and it's not even, I didn't even hear no. It's just, I didn't even, just didn't get a reply at all. And it ended with a delivery of what was supposed to be a camera and a case for the camera, but the camera is the expensive thing, and me getting a roll of thermal tape, like receipt tape, from Amazon instead. And so I come to you waiting on another email that I'm really anxious about. So it's been emotionally taxing, to say the least. The camera I bought is certainly quite a bit of money for me. And I hope Amazon is good about it, but there are a number of indications that they are either misunderstanding what I'm saying to them, or I'm specifically being shunted towards particular departments, neither of which bodes well for the resolution of the problem. But hope springs eternal, and I didn't want to make it too much about personal stuff, because one of the reasons I like Planetfall so much is that it lets me sort of jump into this really interesting world and, take my mind off things for a bit. And I feel like I need that right now. So I hope I find you all better than I was right now. Again, I don't want to be some, I don't want this to be just a stream full of moping or something like that, but wanted to, if you feel maybe a little less energy, combined with some very odd sleep habits for the last little while, it's been we were already talking about how it's been a particularly tough few weeks, maybe even a couple of months, and the little details still seem to be kind of going in the wrong direction, but we'll make it work. So I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee. What I'd like to start with actually is why I think this game is interesting, why I like it, because I played it when it first came out quite some time ago, but it's not bad to do a little bit of a recap. Like, why is this something that I keep coming back to, in a way that even some games that I maybe like even more, I haven't necessarily done so for stream. I mean, there's the fact that the DLC was released. That's always a good reason. And then we'll talk a little bit about what the next few steps are going to be. But I haven't had dinner yet, and I also, because of the odd hours, I tried to catch up on some sleep, but it really messed with my sleeping schedule. So I do need some coffee, and just to charge up a little bit. Hopefully that'll bring some pep back in terms of the broadcast. I still have the Morrowind episode to record, so it's looking like a tough day, but I'll pick up the details and try and share what the plan is, as well as why I think this is a worthwhile game. Actually, before I do that, I will mention there's a Paradox sale going on Humble. It's a summer sale for them, end of summer sale. If you were thinking of picking up this game, even the season pass, to my understanding, is currently currently has a discount. So now's not a bad time to pick up the game if you were thinking about it. I think it might also be available on a couple of subscription services. I'm not 100% sure about it. But if you've never played Age of Wonders before... Oh, and if you do get it through Humble, I do, of course, have the affiliate link, but if you have somebody else you're supporting through that affiliate link, or you buy it through another platform, obviously, please don't go out of your way for that. It's if you're making the purchase, I'd love it if you'd use that link, because that does sort of help me cover costs. So, what is it about this game that I find so interesting? I think the first thing I want to say is, if you've never played the Age of Wonders games, I played the first one. I don't even really remember the circumstances under which I played the first one. But it struck me, I think at the time it struck me a lot like some of the things that I liked in a game called Heroes of Might and Magic, and I don't know which one it was, so I understand there's a lot of difference between the Heroes of Might and Magic games, so I'm doing a rather rotten job of explaining. But I think what really attracted me to the game when it was a fantasy title, Age of Wonders 1 through 3 are sort of fantasy strategy games, was it connected with something that I liked a lot, which was Civilization. 4X gaming has sort of always been this thing that has been kind of a part of my gaming life throughout my time in the hobby. I think Civilization is probably one of the first games that I really deeply got into and really felt, for lack of a better term, a connection with. I felt it was a game that really it really spoke to me in a way that maybe some of the others hadn't. Although I'd certainly enjoyed plenty of games before it. What interested me about Age of Wonders when I tried it was it had this very familiar flavor. So there's the 4X element to it, but it was so interesting to play a game where you had heroes, and part of it was going through. Hey, Olaf, thank you very much for the host. Part of it was taking your hero and putting them into like a dungeon or a cave, you ran into this group and you needed to help them out, and through helping them out you got a powerful relic. And oddly enough, I'd not really read that much fantasy before. I was kind of into it. I think I'd read a couple of fantasy books, but I wasn't like a huge nerd about it. And even then, like now, I'm probably a bit better versed in science fiction than I am in fantasy, although I know they always keep getting put in the people who have elf ears in their pocket section in the bookstore. But what made Age of Wonders so interesting to me was that when in addition to sort of building up this hero and having this idea of sort of a fantasy area, in Age of Wonders 3, for instance, the campaign, you have a story. But even if you just play like the base game, when you go in and you do an attack, on Civilization 4, you have just the straight battle between the units. And obviously there's been a lot of development in terms of what happens on the hexes in the Civilization games. So you can no longer stack units, and now you can no longer stack buildings. Well, you can sort of stack buildings, but there are certain buildings which need to be built into special districts in the latest version, Civilization 6. In fact, I'm feeling like I probably should do Civilization on this stream because I really like Civilization. It's been a very long time since I've played Civilization. But what was so interesting about Age of Wonders was it has this, when you do the combat, you have this turn-based, what I'll now call a tactical game. And that was a really neat little touch, especially because it sort of allowed the hero to be this larger-than-life figure. So, of course, in Civilization, a general is going to be a little bit more like what they are in life. They are something to augment the make the use of military technology or tool, or resources that you have. They're there to make better use of it, not to run into the front line. So like Napoleon, I believe did serve and did, in addition, before he was a general, he was a soldier, or an officer of some kind. But it's not. We don't talk about the military prowess of Napoleon in the sense of he loaded the cannon real good. Obviously, it's the ability to use the resources that you have and to direct them towards a more effective, outcome. Whereas fantasy, of course, the whole thing we like about it is that you have this larger than life here. I mean, going right back to the Iliad. You have these, people who are 10 feet tall, running around, just, destroying everything and having great artifacts of great power made specifically for them, or found as part of some great trial. That's what sort of drives the interest in that particular story. And so I really feel that, the Age of Wonders game sort of captures that point of interest. I've actually heard a criticism from it. Julian Gollop used to have a blog, and I think his complaint with Age of Wonders 3 was that the heroes were too powerful, sort of to the exclusion of standard. Hey, Stratager. I actually don't have a feeling on whether or not the generals are too powerful in this. Obviously, I use them, but I mean, the thing is that enemies also have generals, and it's not like I haven't lost commanders before. So, but yeah, overall, I think it's more than just the fact that it's a 4X game which has this cool resolution of battles. What I've really grown to specifically I actually feel like in the case of Age of Wonders Planetfall, above all, I really feel like I've kind of got the focus down a little bit better. I think I always had this bad habit in the fantasy Age of Wonders games, even though I found the commander side of things to be the most interesting, or at least the hook that got me into it. I do need to admit, I fell into the bad habits that I always do whenever I play 4X games, which is to focus a lot on building and research and such. And I feel like what Age of Wonders Planetfall has done is it's created a tremendous efficiency, and this is also in the post-release period where, where you have, further changes being made to the economy and such. But I think the fact that this game, I was sort of able to understand it in what I sort of felt was its own terms, where it was sort of encouraging me to take certain approaches in terms of solving problems, and basically focusing a lot on army. So where like you can play some strategy games, and there's a very heavy building component, and military is one tool that you will use among many. It definitely seems to be that this game has really put its emphasis on the battles and the conquest part. And more importantly, it has sort of shaped everything around that. So yes, you have a construction point of view. There's always going to be that trade-off in terms of how much do you build up your industry now so that you can have a stronger army in the future, versus versus working on the again, your short-term versus long-term thinking. But like I said, I was tired and hungry, so it's going to be a little rambly here. But I really feel like this game, in addition to just giving a really original and interesting science fiction world, it's one in terms of its gameplay that I've understood a lot better. I've had less confusion about what the game is. There have been some times where I've wasted too much time on building infrastructure, but I feel like the game kind of communicated to me where I was making the mistake in a way that I haven't necessarily been able to pick up on in previous games. But I will admit, like the fantasy in this game, the this world and being able to find out little details and seeing the killer penguins and whatnot, this is incredibly charming, and I'm really enthusiastic about these little details too. So, anyways, I spent a little more time talking about the game than I wanted. We are in the last mission of the Invasions campaign DLC. Obviously, Invasions is much more than just a campaign, although I think the campaigns in Planetfall are excellent. As somebody who really likes single-player options, I'm happy that Triumph didn't just put the time in putting in a campaign, but put in something that is uniquely single-player. This is not something you can take for granted a lot. But I did struggle with this one at the start. We seem to have gotten a toehold, and actually it seems like they're a bit of a paper tiger. So it looks like they really only have 2 bases. We just took one of them. Oh, that may not be correct. Yeah, no, they just have 2 bases because my ally has taken this southern area. So it's the fact that these were sort of forward bases rather than the one. So this has changed my approach. I was originally just going to have the 1 base and raise everything, but I didn't want to use the Xenoplague on people. So I'm now capturing settlements, and I'm just taking the time to one, fulfill a few of the side missions. But number two, I'd also like a chance to kind of repair and otherwise improve my units. So, Autonom faction demand. Tribute required. Entity known as Naranga Odd must make an offering to Autonom. If accepted, relations maintained. For sure. I was also delighted to find out that they're Dutch. Canada has a great... I've never been to the Netherlands. I would love to. Because there are a number of negative things that have happened through moving to Ottawa. But one thing I really do like is the fact that I am able to see the Tulip Festival. So the Netherlands gives Canada a very large number of tulips each year. This is due to a friendship forged in World War II. And everything I read about the Dutch makes me like them even more. So
breakthroughs in gravitic containment and inertial dampening systems intended to facilitate increased cosmite production prove to have serendipitous applications in mass transit systems across a variety of terrains, allowing for more efficient transport across colonies where this technology is deployed. Dr. Aksanik, Chief Researcher, MagTech Inc.
It's actually worth mentioning too. This isn't just like a casual thing. It's not like I just picked a country that was convenient and I went on. There's an economist who works on price indices, Jan de Haan, doesn't work on producer price indices in particular, that I found really helpful. So there's just something about the Dutch that seems to be that they know everything. All right, so the whole reason we went for colony infrastructure was I'm feeling the pinch as far as Cosmite is concerned, and given that I didn't have a lot of options in terms of expansion, and even then, like I'm still trying to be a little more reserved in terms of my where I'm moving on. It's important for me to be able to build up my my Cosmite generation as opposed to trying to find regions that I can capture that have it. So now that that's done, I need to start thinking about what my next few steps are going to be. I don't really have any... environmental conditioning is a harder one to recommend for the hazard removal. Again, we don't have a lot of hazards in the area. Operation effectiveness doesn't take that long, and it will give me an extra doctrine as well as some additional tactical points for operational support. Although the doctrines I have right now are not necessarily ones I want to fall over in order to be able to... worker integration is a good one, though. So I think what I'm going to do, it's going to be a bit of a weird path, but I'm going to start with environmental conditioning because I believe a river runs through it. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we've got 3 territories that have rivers, and I figure an additional 30 food is not all that bad, again, especially given that I'm not specializing in food development in a lot of these areas. In addition, I was originally going to go and take out these defenses, but it looks like there is a quest here. So, and in order to save a little bit of time, I'll do the auto combat. But if we lose anything, I will manually intervene.
Objective completed.
Completed. Rogue AI deleted. Database updated. Naranga Odd is competent. Rewards allocated. An old Imperial sea vault used to store DNA samples and seeds of all varieties of creatures and vegetation for research purposes. Let's just take a minute here and think about where I would want to expand. I suppose technically I am getting a food specialization if I head up to here. I am definitely going to take it, though. So I've got 1, 2. I could do 3 and 4. This is actually a really attractive acquisition. The other attempt I could make would be, both of them have rivers, so it would either be, and these seem to be largely the same. do 1, 2, claim terrestrial spaceport, although we are kind of already on our way to picking this one up. Yeah, I do actually see some sense in trying to claim this, so I'm pretty sure we're going to... I do want to show this feature just because I think it's quite strong. So if you do auto combat, right? I mean, this is better than I thought the AI would do, but you can hit the retry button and you get to take the field. Although I should have saved ahead of time because I have a feeling I'm gonna mess this one up. So the Bombardon is the real source of stress here. I want to keep my distance. I want to keep my distance from these guys, but I don't want to become in range of this, and it is repeating. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this guy up. So this is sort of the, out of the two sides, right? We've got a Biomancer who's good for healing people. These guys don't really, I mean, they have some capabilities for hurting ranged, but nothing too exciting. So what I want to do here is I want to create sort of a zone where they pay, they sort of pay for moving into. Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. We'll drop one of these. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to... Yeah, we're not going to be able to do any damage up front. So I'm going to get my soldiers where I need them to be for sort of the reply. I need to make sure that people aren't spaced out in inconvenient ways. Actually, you know what? We can afford to get a little... I'm a little worried about this because the Bombardon will come after them. But I have something that'll help. Now, the thing is, the Bombardon does destroy cover. So these guys are going to feel a little exposed in a while. I do need all the help I can get, so... And let's see some extra... Yep, this is a risk, but I think an extra melee unit is just what the doctor ordered. So this is just about putting myself in a position of security so that I can run in with the flank after the fact. Now you'll notice I'm going pretty strong on the right-hand side. So the idea here is that we're going to wipe them out on this side, if we can, particularly taking out the Biomancer, and then sort of swoop in. Now, I don't think we're going to be able to clear this out quickly enough, but I'm basically kind of committing to this side at this point, and you know, I'll let the kind of the flow of what happens decide how heavily I commit later. All right. So again, this is about positioning. They give people an extra turn, so this is nice to have. And let's see the consequences of my actions. Okay, that's good. They've lost a little bit of tempo there. Cool. Interesting. So that was unfortunate that the cover was destroyed, but
Operations available.
that was not as bad of a starting round as I thought it would be. So let's get the flank. I don't know if the Omnicarbine is quite going to seal the deal, but let's hope.
Enemy
Glorious.
destroyed.
All right. So I do need to get this guy into cover, otherwise I would have had him ripping apart everything. I guess there really isn't cover in the face of flying. So this unit needs to be in the front line more than anything. But again, the more pieces I take off the board, the happier I am.
Cattle for the slaughter.
Now, I'm taking a bit of a risk with my commander here, but the idea here is I want her to run in and deal with this Bombardon as quickly as possible. I've still got this guy in my pocket to give an extra turn. I just need to decide who I want to do it with. I'm also feeling a little more secure. So, I mean, this flying unit isn't in a complete point of safety, but the risk is not as high as it used to be, so... Again, a little bit of a shame that we couldn't finish the job there, so... This is the big question. Do I try press the advantage on Naranga Odd and go for heavier hits on the Bombardon, or do we take out the flying unit? And as much as it pains me, I think the right call is to press the advantage on my... So of course, had I been thinking a little bit more clearly, I shouldn't have wasted a full turn. Instead, this guy should have been taken out the Bombardon, but... He is in a decent little place, decent little spot of cover, so overall I'm pretty happy with how this is turning out. Okay, that's nice. They just wasted their heal on a little chip shot. Okay, that's a problem, but as long as there isn't a ranged attack on him, I've got an answer. All right. So, this is why this unit is ridiculous. But before I do that... So, it's really important here that I try and put as many debuffs on the Bombardon as I can. So this guy may wind up flanked, but... I'm curious if I do get the 3 shots. I just don't think they bounce. So maybe what I want to do... No, it's not quite enough. Okay, so I'm going to save Naranga Odd for a later mission. I want to see what I can get away with on my Infiltrator. This is a unit I can afford to throw away, remember, so I want them front and center and ideally taking as much of the damage from the bad guys as possible.
Enemy destroyed.
Okay, looking good. This unit actually, if anything, I was too conservative with, but you know, I don't have a whole lot to do. It's important to remember this guy's already used. Oh, hang on, the Bile Spit is right, but it's still a single target. I don't think they have any more AOE. So I can sort of afford to run this guy up somewhat recklessly. All right, so the question is, do I stand my ground and... Yeah, you know what? In this case here, I'm going to take advantage of the fly. I don't normally like going after cover like this, but it's the same probability and a chance for the... All right. See, even a small chance to take out that Biomancer is really good. I'm just worried about what the well, okay, let's see what the odds are. 35%. That's worth it. Oh well. Okay. So I mean that wasn't too surprising, right? They were gonna go for the flank, and it's a melee unit. But it does give me my own flank, so. Wonder. Right, she doesn't have a healing. Okay, this doesn't count as a flank yet, so I need to. Yeah, Reverberating Dagger seems fine. It should drop his Overwatch.
Our forces are victorious.
That might have been a little bit better than what the AI did. I'm actually pretty happy with how that turned out. I don't know why it just tabbed out, but... And the tactical aid rig, if I happen to... Oh, interesting. It's a repeating. So it's one where you want to stay put, and... I probably won't wind up using it, but... it's September 6th, right? So, September 7th. Right, so this is, just to reiterate, this is preparation for expansion for Kurotil. This is my abandonment of my original plan to try and just raise all of the bases. This is, the stories compelled me to go in another way. This is one of the reasons why I'm very fond of the campaign. And actually, one consideration, so I originally wanted... oh, hang on, I wasn't an infiltrator, so what unit did I lose that I wanted to replace here? Because honestly, I don't really feel like I want it anymore. Yeah, I'm going to keep the Thunderous inside. I am going to have to spin out the bees at some point. This unit needs to merge with my comrade here. This is okay. I feel like there are better ways for me to go. All right, let's see how we do in Livid Peaks. Again, in the interest of trying to make a little more progress, I'm going to try the auto combat first. All right, more damage on that guy than I really wanted, but I think I can live with it. I don't think I said I was going to claim that, so that would just really be for the experience. So that was kind of wasted movement points there. That is a little bit of a shame because I do want to actually do the... I do actually want to do the quest.
Incoming communication.
I was expecting more diplomatic efforts from you, Naranga Odd. Are you really seeking to maintain relations? Actively engage in diplomacy to maintain relations. So... This is a... This is actually a really neat touch that they added in the latest patch. So one... And it, like, I'll be honest with you, it's a tough call in how you fix this. But there's a lot of games in terms of diplomacy where you try and get to a certain threshold, and once you get it, you just ignore the diplomacy element. Now there are events inside of the game, so like it's not as static as I'm portraying, because obviously, opinion can go up and down based on your actions inside of the game. But basically, diplomacy, as practiced in video games, tends to be like an annoying friend who only ever calls you up when they want something. And so what it seems that what Triumph has done here is that if you neglect diplomacy, you sort of start to get these penalties in terms of relationships. And so it encourages you to do things like the pronouncements. I think it might possibly be, at least in my case, I didn't see as many reasons to do pronouncements as often. Obviously, if you've already got all of your treaties that you want, you're not necessarily going to be engaging in diplomacy that way. But it's weird, right? Like, Canada and the US have very long-standing diplomatic ties. We have trade negotiations, and there are flare-ups in terms of things like softwood lumber. But obviously, that relationship has led to everything from economic and military support to even more, to things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily normally think about in terms of, support for certain UN resolutions or what have you. Now, the thing is that these are games. They're abstractions. They're not going to be able to capture all of the nuances of life. It's why we play them, and it's why they're more fun than real life. But it's kind of interesting, the tightrope that Triumph is walking here, because if you think about it, like, it's not... so this isn't just, go into the diplomacy screen every once in a while. You actually need to pay for this, right? You have to compliment or insult, and that costs influence, and influence can be used to get units from other people. So you're giving up a resource in order to maintain those relationships. But this also isn't necessarily that different from how other games handle this as well, right? Like, there's diplomatic relations penalties. If you have too many diplomatic relations, you have to pay something to maintain them and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting how they did it. I think the one thing I would say is that I'm not 100% sure. I think the system would work a little bit better if there was a really fleshed out diplomatic system. And I think this is something that comes up in a lot of games. But I'm not also, I don't necessarily think diplomacy is terrible in this game. So under here, we can only propose truce and becoming a vassal. Of course, I believe we joined this war because of our ally. Oh, interesting. So yeah, here's an example of something where I think there's an extra level. I don't know how many games actually say that these people hate you enough that even if they're losing, they won't consider peace. I like that touch quite a bit. My God, I have a lot of items. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in 4X, I always feel like there's more stuff to do diplomatically, but on the other hand, I also think diplomacy in games like this has probably the worst effort and reward trade-off, because I think in the end, there's always going to be a group of people that really just use diplomacy as the thing is that diplomacy in a game like this in multiplayer is you talking with your allies and figuring stuff out, and there's never going to be an AI that captures all of the details of that. And so in the end, you give them a number of actions that they can perform and kind of a willingness to follow through on what they say. And inevitably, people are going to game that. And in the end, I would definitely prefer to see development effort go into things where I think there are greater rewards rather than trying to pretend that computers are human beings. Anyways, if I want Sentinels and Golems are coming up, this will, I think, work rather well with my secret tech. Not so secret tech, but I'll hold off on getting any of those now, especially because I only have a little bit of influence. As we learned, that's why you get some big guns and have at it. Well, also too, I think this game has a lot stronger combat focus than a game like Civilization. Although, if you want to do a passive playthrough of Civilization, you're going to have to put some effort in it for sure. Therian faction demand. I probably shouldn't have talked to these guys now that I think of it, but doesn't our company make you happy? Are you really like the others? Tyrants and mutineers? Prove that you're different, or we'll show you what it's like to be on our bad side. Oh, this is timely. Hecatermia. Alright, so I can definitely see her as a close... Yeah, this actually works quite well, because I don't have somebody who's good at sort of jumping into the fray. So I'm going to send her off to... So I don't know if you guys want to see all of the individual combat. If you want, if you'd like me to do less auto combat, just mention it in chat. I'm actually perfectly happy to do more of these sort of one-offs. It's just that I don't really think. Whoa. For the things that don't cost me anything, it's probably just as easy that I let the AI handle it, so I can do the magic here. All right, Transcendents are really, really strong with the Kirko. Very different, Isaac Newton. Thank you very much for the follow. So, this was the perception of the game back when it was announced. So one of the things that I like... Now, maybe before I go too much further on it, there's two details that you should know, which will probably have some relevance to what I say here. Number one, I was given a key for this game for promotional purposes, both the base game as well as the DLC. So this would be Revelations and Invasions. I'm not asked to say anything, and I'm not particularly in a mood to say nice things about Paradox stuff out of hand. I don't owe them any favors, so but that's something you should know off the bat. And then number two, I really liked Age of Wonders 3, but I did not necessarily play a lot of it. So like in terms of the details of Age of Wonders 3, it may be that there are things that I didn't encounter or I'm not remembering correctly, and so I'm always a little cautious in terms of specifics, just because I might be misattributing something that I just didn't realize towards an innovation inside of Planetfall. But the simplest difference that I could give you in terms of explaining what's going on inside of this game and what makes it unique is I feel that a lot of the systems have been stripped down. The game is not necessarily any less complex, but I feel like the focus is very strongly on the military level, and it sort of all directs you towards building yourself up for these tactical battles, and specifically like things like being able to place your city. So like when you put your city down in a hex and you agonize, oh, do I put it like 2 hexes to the right or 2 hexes to the left? Like you don't do that in this game. You'll take a sector will give you a certain amount of resource yield as a default, and then you can expand out to 4 other sectors as long as they're adjacent to sectors that you already own, and you'll get your additional yield that way. And so in this particular case here, I feel that what they've done is they've been able to capture a lot of the interesting decisions that you would make in the older Age of Wonders games, but they would... what they do is they kind of take your cognitive effort away from things that maybe aren't quite the core of the game. I tend to think that the core of the game is, the main driver is the strategic layer, but you need to pay enough attention on the strategic layer to give yourself an advantage in this tactical layer. Otherwise, you're going to get rolled. And I feel like what the main changes of Age of Wonders Planetfall, I feel the thing that this really brings to the table is just an overall efficiency, let's say, in terms of how they're presenting the information and what decisions they're giving to you. I will also say, so I think sometimes the terms of like a reskin of an existing game is a little more dismissive than I would necessarily want to say for this game too. Because the science fiction world they've come up with, in my opinion, is really original and really interesting. Like I I love creating heroes, and I love sort of running around in Age of Wonders 3, but I'm really into the story on this one, and I like reading the different biographies of the species, and just overall the look like really is really attractive to me. So that's, that's one thing I should say is like, insofar as there's going to be similarities with the fantasy games, I think, they've really put a lot into creating a world that I want to spend time in. Now that's going to be a personal thing that doesn't necessarily line up with everybody else. So again, take that with as many grains of salt as you should. I mean, in the end, ultimately the story isn't necessarily why a lot of people play strategy games. And the final note I'll say on that is that I like the campaign. I've not actually completed it, but it seems to be that there are a number of decisions that you make which will have consequences later on inside of the game. And so what I like about this is that while there is the scenario mode, and obviously that's going to be more in line with what sort of a standard, I just want to play a 4X game sort of a playthrough is going to be like, I'm actually really intrigued by the fact that the campaign, again, has made the effort to give you something which says you can only do this in a single player game, and we're taking the time to give that to you. And what I particularly like about the DLC is that the 2 DLC that have been released so far have like they've added more story missions, which I'm fond of. So, are there still multiple damage types? Yes. Each city is a resource generator. SLK OT. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Instead of capturing generators in the area. Always thought AOW3's UI and info presentation was pretty much flawless. I mean, I would say it's an improvement in terms of Planetfall. But when I get out of this battle, you'll be able to see what's going on and judge for yourself. I'm just going to take a minute here and not talk about the game, but play it. So the race I'm playing right now is the Shikarn from Invasion. So I should mention the yes, the Engulfer was the Xenoplague unit that I had. Wait, what? Oh, damn it, that's right, because I did the auto combat. Okay, that's fine. I can still make this work. I thought Engulfer was a weird name for the Xenoplague unit. So this, I should mention, so this game's on sale on Humble right now, on the summer sale. Whether or not you use the affiliate link, if you're looking for a deal, you should probably know about that. But the race that I'm playing are the Shikarn, and this was added in the Invasions DLC. So just keep in mind what I'm playing right now is not something you'd be able to access in the base game. Okay, so I'm just trying to. I know they're going to goop me, so I want to make sure that everybody's sufficiently far apart. I'm a little uncomfortable with this guy being so far up because he did take some damage. Again, this is the risk of doing the auto combat. I was originally going to put somebody up against this rubble here, but it occurred to me that I'm going to bring in an extra body. I'll keep my tactician off to the side. I can't remember if the heal is used once per battle. No, it isn't. You know what? I don't think they're going to be able to goop fast enough. I probably should have. I should have done this before, then ran him up, but I didn't. I completely forgot that this is a multiple times per combat. You know, I really tried Wizard Wars. I was really into Dota at the time with Wizard Wars. The big problem with it was, I think, the way that they did the release, where there was sort of this paid period where you would access the game first. It created this tremendous skill disparity. And so the problem that I had with Wizard Wars was that every time I went into a game, and like it was a good faith, like, you know, I don't have to win every time, but I want to at least be able to, you know, to put my time in and win. But the skill disparity was just so large in that game that unfortunately it It was like I didn't feel it was profitable for me to go in and play it. Like it was just, there's only so many times you can get absolutely clobbered in a match, and you know, and like, so if you play chess against someone who's roughly your skill level or a little bit better, you'll get better at chess. If you play chess against a grandmaster, you're not even going to have a vocabulary for how you just got beat. Yeah. And like, you know, I like playing Invoker, so like Magicka is completely up my alley. I actually haven't played Magicka 2 yet. But I feel like Wizard Wars really had potential. But it's a great example about how these sorts of things live and die based on, you know, based on the ability to get a player base up. Crits everywhere. Wow. All right, so this there's a bit of a risk that I'm going to be taking with my my aerial unit here. I do want to hit, so I'm willing to take the risk even with the potential of flanking from this unit, because if I can get a stagger on the Transcendent, I break the connection. Great. So this does put a priority in terms of taking down the Engulfer, but we'll deal with that in a moment. I'm definitely going to have to deal with the Caustic Smoke. Let's run our guy up. So again, I want to keep my options open as far as the Engulfer is concerned. Now seems to be a good time to use the jetpack. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. The thing is, I really can't afford to have the Engulfer wipe out my this unit over here, so...
Enemy down.
Hey, they're not the only guys who get crits. Okay, looking good so far. Yeah, so Isaac Newton, they've been doing, so there's sort of two ways that Paradox has been growing. There's Paradox Development Studio, and of course their whole thing has been kind of create these very long-tailed games that get a years of support through DLC, and these would be sort of the standard Crusader Kings 2, Europa Universalis 4, Hearts of Iron 4. Victoria 2 sort of counts inside of that, and I'm sure now that CK3 is out, I'm sure there's some consideration as to when, you know, the much storied Victoria 3 is on the way. But the other way that they've been growing is through the publishing arm, which is of course the whole Magicka thing, right? Magicka isn't developed through Paradox, I don't think. I think it was another development team. And so they've been doing a number of acquisitions lately. One was Harebrained Schemes, who did the excellent Shadowrun CRPGs. I actually kind of feel like CRPGs are the one thing that Paradox really wants to do, but they haven't been able to quite get a handle of. So if you look, Pillars of Eternity, number 2 went off to Versus Evil, and then it like completely failed to make any money, and so Obsidian got bought by Microsoft. Although it did allow them to do their Skyrim style game in that setting. They tried to do Tyranny. I thought Tyranny was an excellent game. I'm very sad that it didn't really seem to find its audience. There was one that the development studio was working on and they canceled. But obviously, Harebrained Schemes is able to do 3 excellent Shadowrun CRPGs, and then they did BattleTech, which was published by Paradox, and I think around the time of the release of the game, they bought them. Around the same time, I'm using around very loosely. They also bought Triumph. They did a publishing agreement for Prison Architect on mobile, and now I believe they've just straight up bought Prison Architect from, I think it was Intravision that did that game. And what else? Anyways, a lot of Paradox's growth recently has not just been through expand. So, development studio has been expanding in the sense that they're adding more sort of kind of core titles to their lineup. I'm thinking particularly of like Imperator Rome and Stellaris.
Enemy eliminated.
But they've also been growing in terms of the, making bigger games. So now they're making Bloodlines 2. They've bought White Wolf. But Triumph has also been part of this effort to buy up some game companies that sort of seem to be a good fit and move on. No, they straight up bought Triumph. So Triumph is now a subsidiary of Paradox. Oh wow, this guy's just given up on life.
Unit destroyed.
So the reason I say that is I think that thing was going down anyway, and obviously he's not doing any damage to my existing unit. So I am going to be a little thoughtful in terms of how I approach this. So we'll move the guy up. I want to try and maximize the number of flanks that I get. Or misses. Okay, I'm moving him up. I'm not going to do the attack yet. I want to get one of my standard units in on the fun. I don't think there's any cheeky heals that I can do right now. I guess we're actually ending with more health than when we started, though, so...
Our forces are victorious.
I'll admit, one of the patterns that seems to be happening lately with Paradox is that they'll do a publishing agreement. So I don't know if they do these publishing agreements with the plan to buy the company anyway, but it does sort of seem like when they publish something, there's often it's almost like the trial run for an acquisition. Because if you think about it, you've got that happened with BattleTech. I believe that happened with Planetfall. Actually, no, hang on. I believe Planetfall actually was they acquired Triumph, and that was Planetfall was the first release under Paradox. So I might be mistaken on that. But definitely in the case of Prison Architect, they very obviously acquired the property after doing a mobile agreement. Okay, so I'm splitting out the bees right now. This is just so that I can find room for the remaining troops. It's going to be a little messy at the moment, or like for the first little bit in terms of getting everybody sorted out, but my outside option is always just to put the bees back in. All right. I was hoping that we'd get another level of Zardos instructors. The fact that I can turn everybody stealthy is really cool. So, given the fact that Naranga Odd does have the jetpack, it does sort of make me want to give her Quaking Shields, but the fact of the matter is I really don't want to have her in the front lines as often. So it's not the most exciting choice in the world, but I actually think I'm going to do range special. Well, okay, there's actually one thing I'll test. Okay, yeah. Neither of these unlock anything new, so I will do range specialist for the extra damage. And while I'm at it, Deadly Sight is kind of cool. I just really don't use the Overwatch as often with her. Ah, screw it. I do like the idea of the tactical aid rig. I really don't like the idea of taking Naranga Odd. So the reason why I won't put this on Naranga Odd is because she already has Call Insider, which takes her out for a turn. So the best use of the tactical aid rig is actually something that will lock her up for 2 turns. Given that she's one of my stronger units, I don't think that's... As good as heals are, I don't think that's a particularly good use of that that character. I also don't think... Yeah, the existing... the existing weapons I have right now. I mean, maybe the Omnicarbine. This SMG is really hard to pass up, though. So, in another life, maybe I would consider the targeting demon shell, but we are short on Cosmite, so I'm going to leave that be for now.
Operations available for priming.
All right, I think we only have, only 1 Doctrine slot. At some point, I am going to have to do more strategic and tactical ops. All right. Oh, that's why I was wondering why I was turning blue. So here I'll probably do an auto combat, but I suspect this guy's gonna get lost. Oh, maybe not. So again, this is about raising the enemy sector bases just so I can complete the quests. I'll leave the bees alone. I did not realize that we had... So that should deal... Scorched Earth should be complete. I believe I still have... I believe I still have Siegebreaker to complete. I probably should have blown this up first, because I don't think this will count if it's... Well, I guess we'll find out. Right, Chancellor's still winning. Greetings, Naranga Odd. I have some information on Chancellor Core that may be valuable to you. Again, this is one thing I love about the the diplomacy in this game. Chancellor Core has insulted my empire. Chancellor Core might do this again and is not to be trusted. Now, technically, we're not at war with these people, but I do really love how fragile they are about being talked to that way. So, Isaac Newton, if you're still around. This is a little bit of an example in terms of how, how the resource system works here. So these dotted lines are forward bases. These are not resource generating. I'll maybe show you my my base. So the mission that we're on right now is we're doing an invasion. So it's a little bit more, we've established a lodgement and are trying to take out the Senate for this organization called ELOP, which is from the base game. We started off with this tile. So as you can see, basically 2 food, 1 energy, 1 science. Now the specific break, actually, you know what? I'll do it in Shroud Swamp because this is a little bit easier. The source from this kind of comes from the biome. So in the case of the swamp, it's got 2 food, 1 energy, 1 industry. And this comes from, the food come from the fact that it's Arcadian and forest. The energy comes from Arcadian, and the industry comes from forest. This is as opposed to the, I don't remember what this is called, Smog District And again, if you mouse over, ruins provide energy and science. It's an Arctic biome, so that gives you industry and science. And then some of the locations will have special buildings. So this is a little bit like, maybe not exactly like going into the caves, but these are the sorts of places where you'll go in, you'll send your hero to try and get powerful relics and whatnot. This is sort of a minor version of those. And then these things like the celery stalk complex are a little bit closer to maybe the more traditional dungeons, for lack of a better term. So that's definitely one big simplification in terms of how industry and whatnot works. You can develop your areas, so you can do the upgrade, you can do energy exploitation, agriculture, and whatnot. The benefits actually really come from the types of buildings that you have in the area. So for instance, this, I'm getting the food, I'm getting the energy, I'm getting the industry. The reason why I chose an energy specialization here is because it had the derelict power plant, where you can see it gives you the information an additional 5 energy when in energy exploitation. The similar idea here. I will eventually put this towards an industrial exploitation. Maybe I'll queue that up right now, actually. Although I also need cosmite research. So let's think a little bit about what our next few steps are going to be. I definitely want to produce the noisy. This is a story mission, although extra industry will generally produce everything a bit faster. So we'll move the industry exploitation up first. I'm really putting a big delay on the military infrastructure, but... Oh, wait a minute, but it's just unit cost, so if I'm not building any more units, then I should be building the infrastructure first. That makes more sense. So I'm doing the unit just because if I don't build the units, I'm never going to get these replacements. I'm building the industry exploitation next because it makes all of these things go faster. This one I'm doing because it's a story-based... It's a story-based production, and we'll be able to do it faster with the addition of the industrial exploitation. Cosmite, basically... So consider this the cutoff. These are like the necessary ones. This is like paying your rent or your credit card bill every month. Actually, I know there's a couple people in the channel who probably don't pay their credit card bill off every month. So if you can, you should do that, though. But... Consider this the cutoff line in term. These are like the discretionary builds. So Cosmite is my highest priority. I've been neglecting military infrastructure for a while. We've also been a bit lucky in terms of being able to handle any sort of emerging threats. But now is a good time for me to do that. And sort of by process of elimination, the energy efficient assembly line comes up next. But that's also because it gives me a discount on the units that I'm building. And of course, as you can see, there's only one unit that I'm building. I've already committed to getting this thing done the earliest in the timeline. So there's really no reason for me to put that any earlier in the timeline.
Production ready.
All right, we've already moved the unit that was produced there, so I think we're done for the turn. We did a lot here, and I am curious about this Scorched Earth, so I'm going to just get a quick milestone save in. I don't know if I explained any of the difference. Oh yeah, actually, sorry. There's one other difference that I'll explain here, so you can take a look at my overall production. You can still manage citizens, but again, the citizens are going to be. This is going to be based on. What tiles are accessible within the region. So overall, I think it is a simpler system than most 4X games, but I don't really feel that any of the interesting decisions have been removed by moving on to a system like this, and I get to focus a lot more on the parts that make this game interesting. So it's a change that I prefer. I mean, personally, I think this is my favorite of the Age of Wonders games. It is also the only science fiction one, so there's a little bit of a selection thing going on there. But I really think that this game, as far as just playing a game is concerned, for me, out of what I find interesting on these ones, I feel that it's put all of the emphasis on the things that I find the most interesting. All right, Chancellor Corps, let all walls be torn down and the fertile lands of the enemy be reduced to ashes. There can be no rest until the last fort is slighted and the last city lies in ruins. The time has come, General Naranga. Deploy the Sonokarn. With pleasure, my Chancellor. Nothing compares to igniting the engine of a world destroyer.
Objective completed.
So again, I'm really at odds about this mission because there's so much that is going into the destruction of this thing that you've built in the previous games. so yeah, I'm a little confused as to what counts as enemy Imperial defenses, given the fact that we just raised two of these things. A group of mechanized apes is expelling noxious fumes near our spawning grounds. Fresh green leaves shrivel on their approach, killing off new sprouts. We shudder to think of what kind of environment these creatures came from. Purge the sector of these belching meat bags. Hard to say no to that. So I'm trying to reconstitute the... Alright, these guys are never going to be part of the fight. Actually, what am I doing? I'm planning to auto-do this, so let's bring the full health one in and hope I don't lose anything. And I'm going to move... So the reason I'm moving this unit in is that he's got somebody who wants to join up with him, and I would like to use Naranga to try and take herbal health supplements. Actually, I guess we'll take the Imperial Defense System first, so I don't want to waste the moves going into the sector. Okay, didn't lose anybody, so...
Objective completed.
Fresh air once again. Our younglings blossom in gratitude. Again, apologies for those of you who want to see some more combat. I'm just trying to keep the focus on... I'm trying to keep the focus on battles where I'm sort of adding value. This may not be the best use of this unit's time, but I am going to take a second to raise the defense. I'm actually mildly curious if I could have been able to just run into that sector. How long do I have on... Okay, so 5 turns for this mission. We've got plenty of time.
Operations available for priming.
So normally I don't like moving this guy. I normally like kind of keeping him close to the main army. I will take a minute here. So I am ultimately going to have 2 units. Looks like we just got a big new one. So, the Sonokarn. This is a secure channel. I modified this device. A baby monitor. Deploy the... sorry. This is a secure channel. I modified this device. A baby monitor. Deploy the Sonokarn. Unleash its omnisonorous might. Its powerful sonic laser weapons will destroy the Sunny Bunny Daycare Center. Then I shall escape from what the daycare workers call crib. Horrid prison. My forced diet of mammalian milk and foul concoction called spaghetti loops will finally cease. I hunger for raw meat. I will eat Karen first. She knows too much. Sonokarn's rally will strengthen me enough to shift from toddler form. The other inmates are distracted morons. No interest in insurrection. This place must be destroyed. Broadcaster unknown, RV384888B, prank calls. I love that. So again, for those of you who haven't been following from the beginning, there's this ongoing theme in a lot of the lore for the Shakarn of this idea that there is, like, every conspiracy theory you've heard about reptilian aliens infiltrating us are true. And there's a bunch of sort of little references to stuff like the X-Files and whatnot. This is one where apparently they took the identity of a toddler This is very funny. Yes, as is appropriate to say in a completely monotone voice. Now, Omni Repeater, so this isn't necessarily all that exciting on its own. Omni Charge, empower the next Omni Beam to be a 6 hex long and 3 hex wide line. Good God. Omni Beam, fire a combined sonic laser attack in a 3 hex line. Okay. So what I can immediately see working with the Sonocarn is if you are already in position, you omni-charge it, you hit it with the Tactician, and then you let it rip on whatever you were looking at. This will be interesting. I suppose I'm generating a new unit, so we'll put this with the new hero that I just got. Although it's funny, I'm giving the most advanced weaponry to the most junior commander.
Production ready.
I did get my my new unit belt, so that's nice. I do kind of want the diplomatic analysis wing at some point, but oh, and I can't afford the infrastructure. Actually, theoretically, I can't even afford this extra infrastructure here. Okay, so Diplo Wing for sure, and then I think we're back to generating energy until we can find a new source of revenue. Yeah, I did. This is one thing that I failed to take into account, actually, is that completing these will give me special units, and so in addition to the units that I'm building, I'm going to have to deal with the maintenance cost of some fairly expensive units that are coming up. All right, fair enough. So what I might do here is raise the defense, move on to the mission, come back and take out the sector. Just see if that changes the...
Operations available for priming.
It's not a whole lot here. Yeah, there is a doctrine that I eventually want to bring on, but not at the moment. Looks like I have an expansion option. So before anything, I want to see how close I can get this unit to combine. This is my new unit of Misfit toys. Okay, so we were talking about how we were going to expand to this sector and this sector. So I suppose the bigger question is, do I want... Well, I think it's pretty clear I want the energy first. But I haven't actually... yeah, this is the thing. I haven't actually opened up the Paragon barracks yet, so... I will annex True Heights just because I've actually got a claim on that one. So I think it's probably going to be Herbal Supplements, Tiberius Base, and then of course we've already put our claim here. So as before, auto combat. If we don't lose anybody, we'll... I think I'm going to wait on this one. It's not just for the raise, but it's actually so that I can get... it's so I can give some of these units some extra XP. This might also be a nice time for me to try out the Sonocarn myself. So I don't normally like wasting a turn like this, but in this situation I can see a couple of advantages to doing so.
Production ready.
All right, so we've got our industrial. Holy crap! Oh, wait a minute. No, that number is a lie. This is a tentative entry on advanced military infrastructure. So the reason why this number is so high is that currently, like, I own this sector now. Okay, we're still at +8. So we are going to be running into debt. Basically, these... Yeah, I'm going to be at -8 from this infrastructure on its own. But of course, we're going to be adding Tiberius Base reasonably soon. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to use my energy reserves here as sort of this bank. And the aim has basically been to get my bases to a point where they are focusing on generating energy, which will be the thing that is sort of financing my larger than normal armies. And so the key here is that I don't mind running a deficit. What I want to make sure is that the deficit is not so large that I can't switch one of these things to energy generation and move my still be able to maintain my units. Also, because Grotil is so close to the front line, clearly I'm going to need to put some kind of defensive measure in place. There's also an argument. So admittedly I've kind of been faffing about here. This is partly so that I can build up all of my reinforcements. But it's pretty clear that the Chancellor's making some good progress. And I'm also really intrigued by the fact that even though my mission was to raise sector bases, it looks like he has been capturing them. Which I may start doing for myself. But what I want to start doing here is... Actually, it's probably too late. Ideally, I'd like to get to Koskik before he does. Because my ability to claim these bases before he does basically is the difference between whether or not these guys get hit with the Xenoplague or whether they become my possessions.
Colony.
I'm guessing probably it says I lost herbal health supplements because of... Oh, that's why. It's not because it grew. It's because I didn't own herbal health supplements when I took it over. Okay. That makes a little more sense. So I want to see if Siegebreaker goes up at all because of these... Okay, looks like it counts. Brick by brick, the fortifications of our enemies are crumbling in the amplified sound cones of our war machines. Well done, General Naranga. You deserve to feel the most devastating of Shikaran war gear under your command.
Objective completed.
So we've got a refractor. Obviously, that's going to, like we said, that was going to mess around with our... I was going to mess around with our ability to pay for everything. Try and move as many people as we can into the area. This guy's obviously going to miss out on the fun, but this is one we want to take for ourselves. And in this case here, I'm going to do manual. Before I do that, I'm going to be messing around with new tech that I haven't seen before, so let's see what's going on. Also, I forgot to read the description for the tank. All right. While being probed, they stored me in a military hangar where I saw vehicles that the Shikaran use in their invading force. I beheld ships of power covered in a pearlescent shell that appeared to evaporate in water. I saw great tank-like vehicles with sonic powers that could rally their forces into a fighting frenzy and release powerful blasts that shook the earth, leaving no enemies standing. I only caught glimpses of their power, but when they come in full force, only preppers will be ready. Hollis Barker, owner of Doomsday Gun Club, RV66099E, Alien Abduction Stories, Lizard People. So Sonic Ebb, fire a sonic attack at the target. On use, this unit gains a stack of Ebb up to 2 stacks. Okay, so you want to keep firing. Sonic Flow, fire a sonic burst at a target. Ebb stacks modify this ability. High impact, stagger units. Demolisher, 200% additional damage to obstacles, can destroy fortified obstacles. Knockback, 8 strength chance to knock back. A non-ethereal, non-heavy enemy unit, 1 hex. Each Ebb consumed increases damage by 10% and the hex radius by 1. Okay, yeah, this is huge. So I basically run this guy in. I take a few chip shots and then I focus on the big target.
Computer systems have many unnecessary protections to enforce fair sharing of resources. We break those barriers, gaining complete control and entering a world where thoughts, programming, and computations are the same. H4X0R, Hacker Manifesto.
So I do want to get my hacker unit back at some point. That was the thing that I was missing from my main stack, but obviously I've had some better options available in the meantime. I think the time has come. So I've been working a lot on replacements. There is an argument for doing sound augmentation, so 12 strength chance to reduce kinetic resistance for 2 turns and a 20% bonus to damage. This is pretty big because if I can't kill them outright, I can at least soften them up for the next round. Cavitation module, sonic weapons apply reverb, a stacking effect that deals 15 damage to the unit and its adjacent allies when it reaches 3 stacks. I think one of the things about the cavitation module is we already have reverb. The catch is that I'm not entirely sure. My strategy so far has been to melt them down before they'd ever get hit with a reverb, and the AI is a little bit better at not having people stack up. So it's going to be a while till I can get neural integration and an avatar replacement. I think at this point here, it's time that I actually go back down the Shikaran path. So we'll do discerning systems for sure. Not so sure about propaganda propagation. I am, however, going to consider propagator deployment and maybe firebrand deployment. And this is just so that I can finally catch up in terms of some of the base units. Obviously, what I really want is refractor deployment and gamma supremacy, but I also want to win, so there's a few steps that need to be taken before that can happen. All right, now Vision Veils is a tricky call here because again the industrial exploit. Oh, hang on. Oh, sorry, this one is unexploited. Wait, what's going on here? Hang on, yeah, okay, I took True Heights, right. So it's talking about this exploration site. So it's 10 research, 10 food to the colony that it's linked to biological and cyborg units built in the linked colony gain 5. The important thing here is that this is not tied to its like the exploitation type. So I could do more industry if I felt so inclined. I could do more energy if I felt so inclined. I could do photo research if I really want. It's really dependent on what I think is most effective for my my current playthrough. So if I do industry again, the argument is that I want to get things built as rapidly as possible, and that way I can get focused on energy. The other argument would be to go for energy exploitation right away so that I can get the discount on costs as well as just the general benefits from energy exploitation. Plus 20 energy income is definitely not something to take for granted. And in fact, with that in mind, I think I am going to do energy exploitation in True Heights. After that, let's say at least level 2 military infrastructure. I'm not so sure about number 3. Then we'll put in the barracks tower. I mean, the rest of this stuff is free, right? So I'm not committed to that, but that's sort of my standing order. All right, time has come to try try out my new toy. Did I save? I hope I did. That thing looks so cool. So of course this is an air-to-air unit, so I might want to be a little careful, but honestly at this point I'm really just going to charge this thing in so I can see what it does. So I'm assuming the way that like you respond to one of these things... Oh, actually I may not be able to. So let me just double check. So fire, combined, sonic, laser, attack, and 3x line. 6 hexes long. So if I go here, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay. I'm definitely not even remotely close to what I need for that. Still, a flank with an awesome weapon. At some point, this will be very exciting. For now, we'll just move in. So again, we're up against a bunch of frenzied. The ability to stagger the transcendent is a fairly high priority. Also avoiding, so like this would be a great spot for cover, except that these guys can goop on this this spot. So these guys are actually going to be a little more vulnerable in this spot, but it doesn't put them at risk. Also a little bit more mobile, so I'm kind of okay putting them in a less than ideal position for the start. I'm not 100%. Oh, hang on. He gets a shot, so. Does deny my Raider from a slightly more effective move, but unless I just say, yeah, it's too good of an opportunity. Even if they're out in the open, being able to do the chip damage at the start is kind of nice. I think this becomes an engulfer, right? Foreman. Oh wow, it's been a while since this guy's done anything. God, there is a side of me that really just wants to... Okay, you know what? I don't like the fact that he's going to get gooped, but it also... So one of the worries I have, of course, is the fact that all these guys are exposed. Okay, so now that this guy's staggered, they're not really able to do that much. So, what am I going to do with the other comrades? Oh, actually, we're possibly able to take this guy out. So, normally I would have put down the targeting or the recon boy, but given the fact that we have an opportunity to take someone out, even I'm putting my commander. I'm not bringing up the spare unit, and I'm putting my commander in a spot where this can get blown up and they take damage. The idea of being able to take a piece off the board is too good to pass up. Now again, I want to make sure everybody's spaced out because these guys are no longer the prime target for gooping. It will be this side, given that this guy's got the Transcendence help. I would really like to keep this guy on the left-hand side of the map. Again, it's not cover, but it gives me a slightly more advantageous position. I need to remember the fact that the AI takes on different forms when I do auto-resolve, so I can't count. In this case, I can't count on the form that I'm expecting. I'm going to keep the Infiltrator sort of in reserve. And I'll keep the tactician off to the side. Oh, actually, I've got another... Alright, that's inconvenient. It's a little more spread out than I want it to be, but... So the key here is really about avoiding as much damage as possible. Well, we knew that was going to happen. So if I can get the tactician to kind of come in and give this guy a boost, I'll take it. So it's a trio of shots. It's really hard for me to turn down. I'd love to get the cover, but obviously being able to get 3 shots at once is pretty powerful. It's only disoriented. It's not staggered, so...
Enemy eliminated.
But I believe my sniper unit to the Deadeye inflicts stagger. And given the fact that they're going to be engaged in melee pretty soon, I don't mind taking them out of cover. So of course this is opening them up to retaliation, like psionic retaliation. There's a couple of details I want to get out of the way first, so... Alright, I might... Yeah, I got some stuff I can do. Excuse me. Actually, I feel a little bad doing this, but I'm going to do it now just to clear up the battlefield a little bit. So this guy's a high priority now, given that he's threatening so many of my other units.
Enemy destroyed.
Okay. So here I get the trio of shots. They're not great odds, but... Alright. Well, that potentially gives me the chance... Again, the whole point of taking this fight was to see what the almighty weapon can do. So unfortunately, this is just going to have to be a trial run on the Omni Repeater. Alright, that's fun to look at, but obviously we're still waiting for the really dramatic stuff. I should just take a minute to see if there's any healing that we can do in the interim. There is. This is just a little efficiency in terms of the round. I know we're getting to near the end, and so if I have an opportunity to cast something that'll heal someone, it's better than just leaving them be. I'm willing to move in this case because we just need to do a little chip.
Our forces are victorious.
So I didn't get to try the thing I wanted on the big gun, but I have kind of the idea. So the reason I did the release was because we've already claimed this. Do units with healing abilities autocast them each turn on members of their group on the world map like AOW3? That's a good question, actually. I didn't know they did that in AOW3, so I have not been looking for that, but let's see if we can discern. Actually, maybe that'll be something in the manual. Okay, so let's take a look at a unit that's damaged. Of course, I don't have any that are damaged. This guy regenerates 6 per turn, so this won't be decisive. Okay, well, I'll keep an eye on it, and as time goes, we'll try and find a unit that has more damage than what its natural regen would be, and we'll see whether or not we get the expected effect. All right, James Hankins. What do I want to do with you? Kind of already got him his special abilities, so at this point I think I'm just turning him into a more standard fighter. I can see Watchman working. So Iron Discipline, immunity for the hero. Coordinated I actually underuse Coordinated Strike, but that's one of the reasons I don't pick it up, because I have the tendency to underutilize it. I will definitely admit I have a fairly strong inclination towards giving sort of army-based improvements to the commanders. I still don't have the Cosmite. I should be focusing on skill points. I don't really do Watchman. I can definitely see Steady Aim. You know what? Let's give him Coordinated Strike. We'll see if I make better use of it than I normally do. And of course, the key here, we're not at war with the Amazon yet, so I need to direct my attention back towards who we're actually currently fighting. And it looks like it's kind of scary over there. So I don't want him to get too far ahead, but I do know he has a number of slow units, so let's turn our attention. I think this has got some spare movement as well. Yeah, I think at this point the units are roughly where I want them to be. There is sort of an argument for finally checking out some of this stuff in this area over here, but like, where am I going to find do I really want to take my units in the middle of a war and pick up the little stashes? Like, it's too much. What I maybe should have done was taken one of the extra units that I'd produced and get them to go pick these up, but I can do that with other units too. All right. Sorry, I'm being a scumbag. I believe there's an autosave that will work anyway, but now I'm doing the auto combat less because I think this is going to work out. I just kind of want a baseline for how the AI performs. Oh wow, it did okay. I did kind of imply that I would do this on my own though, so let's see if I can do better. This is not guaranteed that I'm going to do better, by the way, because these are some reasonably tough, these are fairly advanced units that the AI is putting down. I also need to remember what some of these specialized, so the Rowdy, or Propagator, Rowdy variant. I don't need to be in this menu to see it. So the Sonar Repeater is kind of the standard air-to-air attack. The Dysonos... Right. Now I remember. Okay, so this guy is his own cover. So yeah, I've got it's going to be a very vanilla approach, but it'll work. I should maybe just double check the Sapper. So support guns, I'm not too worried about electrified. Assault tunnel. Unit burrows underground, bursts out at a target hex, creating a trench at the location. The burst deals damage to all adjacent units. Okay, so this is going to mess with what I'm about to do. Oh, no, it won't because he can't get through. Right, this isn't exactly my favorite move. There we go. So, because this is a large unit, it counts as cover. Now, what I think is going to happen here is, yes, I can do the Overwatch, but I think that this guy's going to tunnel. And... oh, interesting. I don't know. Yeah, he can totally stun these guys. See, I think the stagger is going to cancel all of those otherwise highly desirable effects. All right, the avatar. So, normally I do the Amplify Demon. Probably should have done that. Override target mechanical or cyborg unit is forcibly infected with a hostile demon. So I think the bulwark counts as mechanical. Yep. So he's the prize. Oh no! This game really needs an undo button. I thought that was the avatar I was moving. I was wondering why he didn't have any cover. So the big problem I have here, I don't mind bringing the recon unit up like this. And this is kind of designed to give them a disincentive to sort of entrench themselves. But I am putting my recon unit kind of on a collision course with the air-to-air unit. So we'll see what the consequences of this are. I mean, that was a pretty effective fumble. I wasn't aware there was an undo button to get used to. Well, I didn't want to get him out of that slot, so. That's quite a bit more range than I thought that thing was going to have.
Operations available for prime.
Okay. So, again, I'm risking my avatar here, but... oh yeah, that's a full commitment. I'm going for it, though.
Enemy subverted.
So I think at this point, just making these guys miserable is probably the best thing I can do. That's a pretty shameful display right there. Yeah, well, I mean, I know what I need to do. I need to protect the avatar, so. I definitely think going toe-to-toe with the Omniclaw is the way to handle this guy. So, sadly, I can't take out that unit completely. I do need to move him to get out of the way of my other units, though, so... I realize I'm sort of opening myself up to flanks here, but this is my commander, so... Nice! And that does damage to that unit. Okay, so the hope here is that I move this unit up. So he's going to get hit by a grenade. At least that's what I would do if I was that unit. So like, this has to be a kill shot.
Enemy down.
So the thing is, though, I suspect this unit's still gonna... They'll either toss a grenade here... Or, oh, actually, yeah. I'm pretty sure they're gonna toss a grenade on the unit. And I'm mildly curious, actually, if... the interface might actually be cancelled if it gets staggered, so this could actually turn bad. I can't believe I just lost this unit. I'm definitely redoing this.
Unit down.
I really did not appreciate how much... First of all, I didn't think it could shoot through a wall, but I really did not appreciate how good that sapper is at doing damage. No, I actually don't really have any... Isaac Newton, I don't really... for the longest time, I didn't have a console. I now have an Xbox, because it was given as a gift. But I'm pretty unfamiliar with most console gaming, to my great shame. Yes, I'm sorry to be a scumbag about this, but there are a couple of efficiencies that I can bring in, particularly with regards to... I should have done that before I did the shot. But yeah, most console gaming I'm actually pretty unfamiliar with, just because it's never something I got to experience on my own. I kind of hate wasting turns like this, but it's not a lot for me to do. I think I will move my propagator a little more aggressively. I'm not sure that was worth getting an Overwatch, but... I think I'm still going to drop the recon boy. Again, I could have done that earlier and improved the chances to hit, but one thing I'm really trying to accomplish here is to get the damage distributed a little bit more evenly. I really want to get that propagator. That's also a unit I can't replace, so I need to be a little more careful than I am with it right now. But the plan, of course, is to get the Avatar to take over the bulwark again. Then we'll see where the rest of it sits. So... I suppose, in fairness, if I can... Oh yeah, because it's not a fully intact wall. Ah, that sucks. Okay. So I got staggered. I can't do my Phoenix Surge, sadly. This is welcome, though. This does keep him in the damage area a little bit longer than I want him to be. But I think we can still make things happen. I do also think it's important to get the aerial So, I mean, if I can't have the bulwark, I'll blow it up. Now, going melee with this guy didn't really seem to accomplish all that much last time, but it's what I got. And let's think about how we can get this guy in a slightly safer position. There really isn't a lot of safety for him. I'm pretty sure if I do the same move I did last time, then he just won't. Well, this is a chance for us to experiment. It's actually the propagator that's in greater danger at the moment. So it's possible that I can take this thing out with the Sonopulse. It's also possible that this Vanguard takes out one of the two. You know what, let's...
Enemy killed.
We'll remove the most likely sources of damage first. So let's see whether or not I lose my propagator this turn. This guy has no luck staying alive. Yep.
Weakly.
At this point, this is really just... So the AI was able to do this without losing units, so this is a chance for me to just learn the Shikaran a bit better. I know there was a really bad period where I would refuse to do any combat that resulted in me losing a unit, and I don't really want to fall back into that habit, but for this one I do actually kind of want to... So one of the things is I'm not 100% sure what the best role for the propagator is. I feel like I feel like I should be doing more with it than I currently am. The AoE attack is kind of nice, but for such a high quality late game unit, I'm not entirely sold on what it's giving me. So notice the distinction. This now means that the propagator is the propagator was the subject of the attack, and so I don't moving up doesn't imply that the Vanguard gets actually, I think I'm gonna start with an attack on them. I was really hoping I'd get a disoriented just so I could so the next turn wouldn't be quite as harrowing. I'm not entirely sure this is any better than how I started last time, but let's see where this goes. The clustering is still a big problem. Obviously, they're getting a lot of free damage with the fire. Okay, so I want to be quite a bit more careful with my sniper now. I still want to use them, but obviously the conditions will change. And they're not at all frightened by the fact that they're in the...
Operations ready.
That they've got the recon boy on them. So, let's find the best way to... Actually, before I do that... Where's the bulwark? Am I really not able to target the bulwark now? Oh no, hang on. Wrong unit. But this blocks everyone, so I can't do that yet. This guy's completely disabled. That makes me sad. I'm not 100% sure if meleeing the sapper is what I want to do here. Maybe I want to go in after the Vanguard instead. I am still gonna... Whoa! That is not the move I would have made if that was the recon unit I was using. That's a shame. Okay, so now I need to think about how I'm going to stop these. You know, these guys are going to do a lot of damage next turn. So... I have a feeling this is going to turn into another reset, unfortunately. I am setting the demon open for an AoE attack on my commander.
Enemy subverting.
Alright. Slightly better. Well, I can try and get rid of the person who inflicts the fire, or I can try and get rid of the person who gets 3 attacks with bleeding, I think. It's also nice if I can avoid the explosion landing on top of my bulwark. So there's 2 reasons why I'm turning him around. One, to avoid the flank from the Vanguard, but it's actually also to try and tempt the Sapper. That's a lot of damage. I just lost the recon. That one, this one I actually don't feel bad resetting at all on, because I would not have had the recon there if I'd known that was the unit I was picking. I think I am going to have to reevaluate my opening moves a little bit more, though. So... I'm going to start with the Avatar to begin with, and I'm going to make sure... So normally I haven't been taking advantage of its Amplify Demon. That's going to change this time. I'm still going to move... Actually, you know what? No, this is still the best spot for him, so... This is 3 turns of him being a superhuman. Now, the reason why we've been clustered up over here is that I don't want the Firebrand to wind up hit by the exposed arc wiring. And obviously, each time anybody who moves over that territory is going to get hit by that too. So there's a huge advantage to the Defender on this particular map, given the fact that this obstacle exists here. What I am going to do... I'm trying to think of maybe some better ways that I spread people out on the first run. Okay, so here's the better question. Can I do damage to anyone this turn? No, I can't. So this guy really just needs to go somewhere where he can be more effective next turn. So then the Firebrand, the question is really one of positioning. How close can I get them to the battle without too much in the way of consequence? This is probably a little too conservative, because I'm not necessarily going to be able to come in and wreck anything on the second turn, but let's see what happens if I hold him back a little bit. I'm going to try something different here with the Recon Boy. So this time I'm putting it a little bit deeper. Again, the Recon unit's fragile and just took three hits repeating, but it does put the Propagator in a better position. No, the Sonar Repeater. Okay. So that wasn't really worth it. So I gotta get the Recon. Oh, I'm gonna lose the Recon this turn. Alright. So basically, the Recon unit can't be a suicide unit. This is probably very frustrating to watch, but this is actually very educational in terms of the capabilities of the unit. This is a little bit like when I had that Shakarn endgame unit, right? The ability to play around and try out a few different things. Oh my god! I don't know if it's just me or if there's something about this game and not being able to verify what unit you click, but like I don't even need the undo button. Like I'm reloading because I want to see if I can find like the perfect approach to this mission. But an undo button to just get past the like, you know, I didn't want to pick this unit, that unit, would be a lifesaver. Yes, there are unit tiers in this like AOW3. So again, this is pretty familiar at this point. I'm pretty committed to this start. Of course, now I need to operate in the knowledge that any effort to put... Actually, you know what? That may not be true. So if I put the boy down here, I don't think he gets his Overwatch retaliation. So I'm still going to get hit by the fire. That's a shame that didn't take it out, but... So I think I'm going to get hit with an AoE fire, but this actually might be a bit of a breakthrough. Definitely, yeah, so you've been seeing a little bit of the morale. I don't know about luck, but you've been seeing the effects of morale with those critical hits, and there's definitely negative morale effects as well. In fact, some of the Xenoplague units have a very heavy component of, oh, this is going to wreck my propagator. No, they went for the Firebrand. Interesting. But yeah, basically all the Xenoplague units have the Parasite effect, which inflicts negative, it gives a debuff to morale, as well as potentially spawning more Xenoplague units. Alright, so obviously I need to do something to protect this guy. I might actually just do Hollow Mend. I should probably pull him back. I'm gonna need to... I haven't actually focused that heavily on morale because it's often not something that I have direct control over, Isaac Noobton, so I'm gonna need to... I'd need to consult the sort of the in-game dictionary for that. So this is a pretty obvious choice here, a light unit to take out this one. Now, I'm definitely putting some high-value units into some risky positions doing this, but I really want that Bulwark.
Enemy subverting.
Okay, good news. And I think just because of the threat that it poses to some of my better units, I'm gonna... Can't resist the melee with that. Ah, you failed your comrades, my friend. That's 30 energy I'm paying to... And it won't do the job. Nope, we gotta see. Let's just hope. So let's take a quick minute here. Morale. Oop. High morale, have a chance to score a hit a critical. There you go. So it looks like every 200 morale will give you another 5%. Well, the initial is 10%, but basically 5% increments for crits, but the fumbles are quite a bit more severe. So it's 20% increments, and desertion is actually a legitimate problem. That was how I lost this map the first time. I will confess, I've struggled a bit to actually find the morale value on my... I mean, it's here. I just don't think it's communicated all that clear. Oh no, hang on, there it is. So yeah, I think the one thing. So for most of the game, it's pretty clear in terms of like giving you the numbers on the sheet. Morale has always been just an icon, and it's taken as implicit. So I actually used to always click. So like one of the reasons I can't answer morale questions is because I used to think that I needed to click and then mouse over. I'm like, it's just not worth looking into. Turns out it's down here. So it's crits. It's not necessarily damage explicitly, but that hopefully that covers your question. I thought we'd already done the turn, so now I need to see whether or not we lose anything valuable. I mean, that's still a fair amount of damage for a fumble. Obviously, I need to pull my my avatar out. That's going to be a flank on the avatar, I think. Yeah.
Weakly.
Okay, so part of this is going to be about protecting the avatar, and so I get to move him behind cover. I mean, again, he's still vulnerable to the foreman, but I do at least get to use every piece of the buffalo.
Cattle for the slaughter.
Oh, 50% extra damage guaranteed to hit. Yeah, so it looks like numerically it's a higher value. Okay, so I'm gonna do one of the reasons I want to do this to the. So I'm actually a bit torn on doing this to the foreman, because the foreman really just need like. They have their attack is a single unit, so essentially with their spike gun, I need to stagger them for all 3 points. Actually, I mean that might be the argument to.
Enemy destroyed.
Okay, so that's a sapper dealt with. I kind of wanted to turn my back to give them an excuse to shoot the bulwark. I don't think that's going to do the trick, though. So part of what I'm contending with here is the fact that that this unit is almost certainly going to be doing damage. And so I want to be thinking a little bit more about how do I want to be thinking a little bit more about how do I protect the most likely target, and how do I soften the potential damage they take. I believe this Deadeye will be able to move in on them here, so I think I'm going to take the Propagator. It would have been nice if I could have got multiple shots. Do what I can. And the higher priority to me right now. So I'm not as worried about AoE anymore. So this would get me the stagger. Well, actually, apparently shooting them with the Omni Cannon gets me the stagger too. So, but again, they just need the one to fire. So at least the disoriented gives me a little a little improvement. So 30% chance of a fumble. In terms of expected damage, that's not a bad little adjustment. I got to pick one or the other.
Enemy down.
So again, that thing can do repeating damage. This thing's only going to hit us with its nail gun once. I've also given it a couple of appealing targets. I've given it a couple of appealing targets with its back to them. So we'll see how it reacts. And looks like that 30% fumble came in, so... Oh wow, that's a really low chance to hit.
Forces are victorious.
Alright, I'm so happy that worked out the first try, right? Alright, so but this will be a good chance to do the experiment that we were talking about with Isaac Newton. So we've got the Avatar, which on its own right now can do... That is absolutely not true that its hit points are currently 74 out of 81. So it generates 6 a turn. So if it's at 80... Well, let's just close this off and see where we're at. Thank you. Hopefully these people will now think twice about hunting our pack for sport. So that's the Therians. I'm also going to do another save here, so we don't have to do that again. Alright, so 25 out of 89. So basically, if next turn this thing's at 31, we know that the propagate... Well, sorry. If it's going to use its healing ability, it doesn't necessarily... That doesn't tell me what unit is going to get the healing ability. So let me... I'm just going to grab my phone here. I'm just going to make some notes about what the health levels of all my units are. And we'll see whether or not the... the heal gets applied. Okay, so Avatar... 25 plus 6. I'm going to guess that it probably doesn't use its abilities, but... So this would be 71 plus 12. Well, that's partly because of the species that I'm playing. So the trade-off with the Shakarn is that they have this. So they've got this kind of disability. So they've got Xeno Debilitation. This unit has a -2 resistance against status effects due to its physiology, but the compensation that they get is epimorphic regeneration. So when this unit takes damage from one or more enemy units or operations, it will regenerate 6 health at the start of the next turn. So of course the nice thing is that if you're dealing with someone who tries to do like a death by 1,000 cuts approach, these guys laugh at that, because essentially as long as they're taking 6 damage or less per turn, they're basically immortal. The reality, of course, is that you're never going to run into a situation where a unit only takes 6 damage. But the thing is that they're somewhat weak in a default configuration. But so long as they're able to withstand the turn's assaults, you get a little bit of that back. I mean, in the end, it's just 10% of the health or less. But probably this is giving the impression that there's a lot more regen in the game than is necessarily the case for well, I mean, again, it depends on what you're specifically referring to, but like in the case of these units, every unit in this army, I believe, has base regen of 6 if it takes damage. But that's definitely not true for the other races. I wrote down the +6 for the propagator, but not what its original health was. Sorry. I didn't appreciate how rapidly my guys heal. I'll probably have to abuse that a little more. And Recon's at full health. Although, for curiosity, +6. Okay, so when we'll review that, and we'll see where all that's sitting at the end. So this guy, actually, one thing that might be of interest to you, Isaac Newton. So obviously, in a fantasy setting, being able to give you a character class, that's part of the that's part of the genre. Like, I don't think anybody really questions the idea of commanders with different classes. So one of the ways that Planetfall sort of handled it, I think it's kind of neat. So you've got your races. So there's the Vanguard, who are kind of a nice kind of default human. They're like the tutorial race. But honestly, I actually think the Vanguard are pretty good. There's the Amazon, who, again, humanoid, but very focused on bioengineering, and they get dinosaurs with laser beams. The Assembly, who are sort of cyborg zombies. The Devar, who are sort of space dwarves. Who else am I thinking of? The Kirko, who are currently fighting, space bees. And I know I'm missing one. The problem is I'm failing to draw the distinction between the faction, like the race and the faction. So for instance, yeah, so these are Vanguard, but of a different secret tech. But yeah, basically what normally would have been a class is instead, actually this definitely looks like something out of Age of Wonders 3. This is part of the DLC. This particular character was not not in the base game. Oh yeah, the Syndicate. That's right. But yeah, so basically actually it's occurring to me now why I'm getting so many questions about. It was weird. So I thought the reskin of Age of Wonders were like, that was something that people were going to be asking in when the game first came out, but now I'm remembering, because I'm specifically looking at the Shakarn in Invasions. This is why I'm getting more of the reskin questions. Anyways, so you have the base races, but basically the way they do classes are secret technology. So in the case of Chancellor Corps, or not Chancellor Corps, in the case of my commander, who I just lost because I went to the diplomacy screen, they're Promethean, so lots of fire and exterminatus. But you'll have everything from sort of Xenoplague, which is very much sort of focused on infecting and building up your army through that infection, to so the Celestian, which is a little bit more debuff oriented and such. So it's I mean, mechanically it's probably the same, although I think one cool thing about the Shakarn is that they're able to use covert ops to steal the racial ability, or like the racial upgrades of other species. I think that's a neat little touch, given the fact that they have this idea of being sort of infiltrators and relying on long-term observation of their opponents. Anyways, this is the Promethean example. So Purging Field launches a Purging Field modulator at the target location. All negative effects are removed from all friendly units within a 2x radius area of effect. And then Extermination Squad. I think this is an offensive one. Expert at dealing with hostile environments. All units in this army deal 20% additional damage to animal, plant, and xenoplague units. Because we're not really up against animal, plants, and xenoplague that often, I haven't done Extermination Squad. But we did pick up... oh, hang on, did I? Yeah, we did pick up Phoenix Surge to leap in and set things on fire. I did give this guy steady aim, so all-round awareness doesn't exactly synergize well with that. I think I'll just do the range specialist for starters. And I think I don't normally like sitting on 3 skill points, but I will for this time.
Operations available for priming.
Okay. I would have moved him straight towards the enemy, but I do have a chance to pick up some goodies. Also, do we have any faction quests? Not right now. The remains of this transport contained a salvageable energy pod worth 27. Unfortunately, its destroyed systems reveal no data on the convoy's origin, destination, or what led to its destruction. So yeah, at this point, I'm going to try and beat my boss to our objectives. Actually, I think I said I was going to destroy luxury domains first. Personality trait of Nicole discovered. This was added in the most recent patch. Nicole is given a statement that made us discover one of her personality traits, xenophile, likes dealing with players that incorporate different ethnic backgrounds in their empire and is more likely to welcome them into their empire while coming to the aid of settlements, likes players that help out settlements and players that have good relations with NPC factions. So, I mean, oddly enough, this is true for the NPC factions I'm actually getting along quite well with. I don't think we're going to get to Cosquix fast enough. I should have been paying closer attention. I'll do my best, but...
Incoming communication.
Deli Ardeli, my friend Naranga Odd, how are you doing? Hopefully we can foster a positive relationship between us. Negotiate with this commander to improve relations. So this is the guy we're building the heavy metal for. You know what? I don't think I'm actually ready for a non-aggression pact. I will send them a compliment, though. Your message came as a pleasant surprise. You should know my people regard you with much respect.
Sector annexed.
Okay. I've clearly been dragging my feet too much on the conquest.
Operations available for priming. Production ready.
This is just so I can have this in the queue as opposed to fully committing to 2. So I mean, the total defense cost for these bases would be 32 energy a turn. That's really hard to justify given the fact that I want to have as many units as possible on the field. Now this unit I'm actually kind of okay putting in the vanguard because again all of these, like it's invisible for the most part. I may also have to wait for the commander to arrive, just because it looks like there's a bunch of enemy units in the area anyway. But again, I don't mind her sort of running in and disrupting a bunch of things as an opening move. Let's get you to finally incorporate with Sir Friendzone, although this will probably come at the expense of not being able to move very far this turn. I think we're going to get the same story with my tank. I don't want there to be too much distance between everyone, but I do want to be somewhat prompt at arriving to our destination.
It is truth that the apex species mimics the natural world and matches the extremes of its environment. If they strike us, we will adapt. If they break us, we will mend. We are the superior species. Shakari Otamal, Clutch Sentinel.
Sentinel. Alright, so we did this just so that we can get on the path for the racial developments. I'm not convinced propaganda propagation is the right call right now. I don't think I have the energy to afford it, so I'm just going to worry about getting replacement units. Marked territory. We found strange marks within our territory. Smells... oh. So this is the second time my computer's tabbed out. Let me just take a quick second here to see if there's something running in the background. Nope. We can't have that. Okay, sorry. We found strange mark within our territory. Smells, prints. We hear howls and screeches in the night. A rival pack is moving closer. We can't have that. No. We worked so hard for this shelter. So I'll accept it, but I'm kind of accepting it in bad faith because I'm definitely much more focused on pursuing objectives at the moment. All right. I did say we were going to take a look at the regen for everyone. So you know what I did forget to do, though? I did forget to take a look at what my commander's health was before. So the Avatar went up to 31, as expected. The Firebrand went up, so they should have been at 83. They're at 83. The Propagator, we were expecting to go up to 41. It became 41. The Deadeye was at 56. It had plus 12 regen, so that would have moved it exactly to 68, which is where it needs to be. And then the Recon was already at full health. So unless by some very, very odd coincidence the commander happened to get the heal from the healing unit, it does not appear that healing units will sort of default heal. I'm also feeling very nervous about my ability to accomplish things in the game now, so. Yeah, turned out. So yeah, like, you know, bringing this unit into the Opal Mountain while we're working on other objectives, that's fine. If I had other units, you know, I might be a little less willing to commit them. The reason why I saved on that was just because I wasn't sure with half health units whether or not I would be able to come out ahead. There is actually an argument for me taking those battles manually because I am better at using the healing abilities by the end of the fight than the AI is. But I've been one of the things. So you'll notice that I've gotten past advertising that I want to finish a particular mission. One, because I'm like the missions in this game are long, but not in the negative sense. So like, when people talk about Alien Isolation, I very frequently hear that game is long, and specifically in the sense of this is not a good thing that this game is so long. In the case of Age of Wonders Planetfall, the scenario missions are long in the sense of I'm actually very pleasantly surprised that there is more for me to do here, and this is enjoyable as a result, rather than rather than just like, oh God, is this thing ever going to end? But what it does mean is that because I had some unrealistic expectations in terms of how long it would take me to accomplish certain things in the game, I've sort of stopped saying, we're gonna finish this campaign mission today. It's definitely much more in the spirit of, let's see how much further we can get towards our objectives. We've completed 2 of them, and then we are on our way to completing Death Metal, although clearly we knew that was going to take us a while. We'll be able to cover a little bit of distance once our guys get caught in the mountains. There might have been an argument to sort of go out and around, but I don't necessarily mind everybody clustering up here. It gives me a chance to combine the units.
It's important to imagine this patch of land without the raging hell fracture of cosmic death spewing forth pollutants from a dimension of pure agony and horror. Phil Dunford, Imperius 4 Colony Real Estate Agency.
So there's the 10 food income. So this will hopefully get my expansion up a little bit faster. Now, I mean, given the fact that I'm doing some industrial exploitation, or am I though? Yeah, I guess I am in a couple of territories. There is kind of an argument now to consider, investing in things like the civilian and military engineering guilds. It's hard though, right? Because in the end, one thing I do like, and I can't remember if Age of Wonders, again, it's been a little while since I played it. I can't remember if Age of Wonders 3 did this Division 2, but basically your technological progress has been divided. I mean, in games like Civilization or Endless Legend, Endless Space, pretty much any 4X game really, you do have the interesting choice. Part of playing the game is the guns and butter choice, right? How much do you put into, civilian work? How much do you put into building up your industrial capability, keeping your morale up, keeping your happiness up, keeping people, whatever. Or how much do you want to go into pure military applications? In this game, they've given you 2 branches, so you will always have 1 military and 1 social tech that you're researching at any given time. But you still have meaningful decisions to make here, right? So now instead of deciding, so you can consider it here. If this was all in one tech tree, essentially I would have to choose, do I want to go down the path of my sonic weapons or my kinetic weapon? Or sorry, my sonic weapons or my, sonic or kinetic. Would I want to go down my secret tech path? In fact, I'll give this specific, like this is these are the highest possible levels. So do I want to do upgrades that are my racial upgrades, my sound-based upgrades, so 1 weapon type, my laser-based upgrades, you'll notice I've ignored those completely, or my special tech. This is ignoring the fact that, of course, I'm also able to use the other racial technologies. But in this case, I've got at least at the basest possible level 4 paths of upgrades that I can pursue as my base species. On top of that, ignoring any other bonuses in terms of doctrines and whatnot, you could say, well, do I want to focus on industry, energy, food, or research? And this is one thing that I notice when I'm talking with friends who are getting into Civilization. Like, they feel a certain degree of paralysis with the tech tree because they're not 100% sure about what they want to do, and so as a result, they're not entirely sure what bonuses they want to look for. And so obviously, if this were to be lumped into one tech tree and you're kind of forced to choose between one of 8 possibilities, all of which will give you a benefit in some way, you can sort of see how this becomes unwieldy. So actually, I rather like the choice to go between civilian and military. I'm not entirely sure it's a choice that would work for every 4X
Operations
game.
available for Prime.
Because I do think there's something to be said in a game like Civilization where there is a definite choice that you're making about how engaged you want to be in the military aspects. Whether you want something that's more oriented towards defense or something that's a little bit more aggressive. They might catch me in the mountains. I'm going to rely on the fact that this unit is covert. I'm definitely going to need to think about my next few turns, though. Oh, you know what? They probably see this unit. Anyways, needless to say, I think in the case of Age of Wonders Planetfall, which has a little, it kind of wears its priorities on its sleeve a little bit more. I like the approach. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go for cyber optimization so that I think I actually get the doctrine slot anyway. This is so that I can do worker integration. This is obviously getting an industrial and energy boon is sort of what I'm looking for here. Aquatic development, I mean, I now have 1 coastal territory. That's sort of nice. But my big economic weakness right now is Cosmite. I'm actually not quite sure why I'm generating 3. It's unit upkeep. So clear. Wait a minute, but I should be generating 10. Colony income. So why isn't my... Oh, because I'm not building it yet. Yeah. So yeah, I might actually spend up and buy the Cosmite upgrade, even though it'll put my research on delay. Now, I might be willing to do a small withdrawal. If I have to deal with full 4 armies, I'm not quite in a position to... I don't think I'm quite in a position to take that on. At the very least, I need to get all of the units in the same position. Ideally, what happens, of course, is is my commander, takes these guys on. I'm not 100% sure what he's up to at the moment. Clearly, he can afford the attacks. I'm curious where I'm at in terms of. Yeah, so Chancellor's obviously position 1. All right, let's see where we're at. All right, that makes me even more nervous. That just might mean my intelligence is bad. Nope, they moved. Looks like they're moving close. Okay, yeah, no, they're moving to take on the Chancellor. That's good news for me. I'm gonna give this thing a fighting chance to integrate with this unit. All right, I think we should be able to handle that.
Operations available for priming.
You're the most despicable commander on the planet, Naranga Odd. You have wronged me in the past, and you are held in low esteem amongst our people. Our disgust with you is cause enough to declare war. This commander may declare war soon, improve relations to try and avoid war. So I was kind of relying on them being pacifists. If they decide to go to war with me, this is actually a very fragile position for me to be in, because I've been relying on the fact that I've really been at war with one entity this whole time. If I have to open up a second front, there's deep trouble. I do have a little bit of good news in the sense that we're in a surplus of 14. Also, I forgot, so this will boost by 4-8. So I think our deficit in terms of military infrastructure is going to be smaller than I thought it would be.
Happiness event in colony.
But for now, it's this is going to be a bit touch and go. I think I'm going to need to keep a careful look at. I'm going to keep a careful look at how things go with the Amazon. If they do decide to declare war, even though they're a pacifist relation, I may have to abandon my rush towards Cosgeeks. How long do wars usually last in this? In AOW 3, it's usually only a few turns because you pretty much scorch every city. It's a little tough to say. This mission, so like this mission's not the best representation. Because this particular scenario, so this is like the last mission on the DLC the Invasions DLC. So the Invasions DLC is entirely about how you are a previously unknown race, which has been watching the empire that's fallen. You've been watching the developments of the previous game, and you've chosen sort of the perfect time to strike. So this map has so to give you an idea of the development, all this stuff that's purple, like basically this line here was all of the blue area, and then you can see sort of all of green, all of yellow. These are very well entrenched forces because this is kind of the world after the events of the first game is probably the best way I could describe it. I actually haven't completed the main campaign for the base game, but that kind of feels to be where this is going. And what we're trying to do is take this objective, the Elop Senate, which incidentally I might actually just run into. So like my hope was that I could rely on the pacifism of the Amazon to basically, once I've conquered the Kirko, to immediately move onto yellow and take the Senate unawares. It will require me to declare war, but like basically I was weighing the odds of who was most likely to declare war with me. So in this one, this war is going to be very long and protracted. In terms of the build-up, I mean, it depends, really. And I think this would be true of any 4X game. Like, I am very slow in how I play my games, and I tend to have a lot of build-up. But of course, because there's a lot of build-up, there's also a lot of... that also means that your enemy's got plenty of time to build up, and so you have these very large-scale armies sort of fighting against you. If you play on the harder difficulties, I think probably you'll see more protracted wars. If you play on, on the easier difficulties, then it's going to be a bit more like what you described, which is you just kind of, you roll over everyone. But I think that's probably, given the fact I'm playing this map in particular and knowing what I know of my particular play style, I don't know if I could make a general statement about the length of war inside of this one. Hey, how you doing, Flobe? Are you going to play any Crusader Kings 3? No, I didn't get a key for it. So that's not to say I will never play Crusader Kings 3, but I was not given a key. I didn't feel great about it. We covered that on the last stream, and there are simply enough things that I've got on my, either things that people have given me a key for or games that I'm interested in, to sort of make going out of my way. The problem with Crusader Kings 3 is not so much the base game, but the fact that I know if I play Crusader Kings 3, given that I covered the game for sort of 6 years and did previously get keys for that, so I don't mean to sound ungrateful for sort of the receiving past press keys. What I do, the reason, if I sound a little bit more hostile on the whole thing, it's because I specifically reached out for feedback. So there's one thing that I think community managers do that is very helpful, and there's actually a way that can be turned into something really negative really quickly. Some community managers will reach out and say, if you're looking for keys, here are some things that you can do. This I think is great because it shortens the distance between, looking for people to cover your game and weeding out the low quality submissions very quickly. The problem is that this advice sometimes takes the form of, it's really easy, just do X, Y, Z. And I haven't really changed the way in which I've approached these requests. I acknowledge the fact I'm a smaller content creator, usually give an idea of my background with a game, what my format is, how many days I expect to cover it, what my usual style is. And Paradox has been very good at supporting me in terms of making sure that I've got some press keys. And so, I did Crusader Kings 2 for years. The problem is that in response to that, I actually reached out specifically to the person because I'd sent 2 emails which didn't get any replies, and I said, hey, what is the best sort of feedback mechanism when that's not necessarily working? I tend to do this, and I I don't. This is actually the first time I didn't just hear no. I didn't get a reply at all. I understand that you may be busy. He said, well, tell us what your style is and such. And I said, well, I did that. Would it be possible? Again, I know you're busy, so it's a request. I'm not owed anything, but I specifically said, I was interested in covering this. I did it for a few years. Would it be possible for you to reply to the email about where this application might have felt short? And so this has now gone from, a request and then a follow-up because it's possible it got lost in the shuffle to a specific request for feedback. And there hasn't been a reply to that. I suspect I'm not going to hear a reply to that. And so the reason why I'm feeling a little bit more testy on that one is that while I don't necessarily think I'm owed any key for any game, it is a little off-putting to hear, oh, it's so easy, just do X, Y, and Z. And in the context of, hi, I've been streaming this stuff for years, I have a dedicated Paradox Day on my channel. When you find the time, would you be able to, to give me a little feedback here? At this point, this has kind of been 3 points at which I was hoping for some kind of a reply, and I haven't gotten it. So it doesn't mean I've declared an oath of enmity. Like, I like playing video games as much as the next person. And so at some point, I'm sure I'll probably play Crusader Kings 3. But the problem is that in the context of Crusader Kings 2, where there's now been this expectation that it's not just that I'll play the game, but I'll play the latest version of the game. And some people are going to be deciding, oh, is this DLC worth picking up? What does System Chalk think of it? Even though there's obviously a small number of people who do that. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who just wind up buying the stuff or checking out another channel. Anyway, I just don't really find it financially viable. Like, knowing that the expectation is not just that I'll do Crusader Kings 3, but that I'll do like the latest version of Crusader Kings 3. I sort of feel like buying the game is putting me on a treadmill, which back before Twitch put in the affiliate program, I could have afforded to do. But at the moment, I don't think it would be financially viable for me to buy up Crusader Kings 3 and sort of have this implied commitment that I'm going to be buying the latest DLC every time that it comes out. And the other thing too is, to be completely honest with you, like, I do want to support the developers that are willing to give me the support. I'm obviously very grateful for the time with Paradox. If this is the end of press keys with them, that's a shame. I'm obviously continuing to do Age of Wonders. I'll continue to do Stellaris. I'll continue to do even Surviving Mars. But at this point, I am definitely interested in making sure that I do like Kit Fox's stuff. Kit Fox has been wonderful at reaching out and giving me a press key, making sure that I kind of have what I need. Weather Factory, another great example of that. And so, with that in mind, I'm sure I'll do Crusader Kings at some point, but it will be because it's a game I'm interested, and I will be doing it on my own terms, as opposed to it being like a regular thing. Yeah. No, I definitely know that it's on Game Pass. I don't currently have Game Pass, but that is exactly how I would play Crusader Kings 3, is through Game Pass. I have no interest in buying the base game. Is there always a capital city that's part of the win or lose for a war? Yes, there is a capital city. I don't remember if losing the capital is enough to cause the capital to lose. And by the way, guys, I apologize if that sounds very entitled on the key thing. The worst genre on Twitter is the content creator mad that they didn't get a press key. If I'm mad about anything, I'm mad about the fact that I explained the context, asked for feedback, and still didn't hear a reply. That's really the only thing that I kind of feel a bit upset about. The fact that I don't get a key, I've heard no about keys before. The people I actually get mad about on keys are the people who invite you to apply for a key and then turn around and say that you're not big enough. It's like, this is knowledge that you had when you reached out to me. You're wasting both of our time by making me fill out this form. I won't tell you what developer did that, but if they do it again, I will tell you. All right, so we built the ultimate sound system for Dali Ardeli. Hell yes, all measured sound levels are going off the charts. Finally, I'll be able to ring out the anthem of the abyss in all its might. Join the audience, Naranga Odd. The concert will be a singular experience. As General of the Scarlet Scepter, I have more important things to do than attend to the questionable debaucheries of this kind. However, I will be sending a Shagaran delegation to ensure that there won't be any use or analysis of our technology in ways that were not agreed upon. Is the report I received true, General, that you've been sharing weapons with the Syndicate, our enemies? Are you aware that such an action would have been considered an act of treason if not committed due to extraordinary reasons? You have every right to question my methods in this affair, my Chancellor, but you can be assured that my actions were motivated by matters of the gravest concern. In my Saladius II reports, I described the encounters with a new type of psi-fish we currently call the Voidbringers. Single entities of these Voidbringers have now been spotted on Parliament Alpha, and if there's any credibility to Dali Ardeli's word, many more could be on their way. If they turn out to be a serious threat, I want to be prepared. Your initiative is duly noted, General Naranga, but you should not conduct matters of this scope behind your Chancellor's back, nor let them distract you from performing your role as General in this war.
Objective completed.
Yeah, I mean it's job searches are their whole thing. This is why I actually don't. Again, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily bad that the person responsible for keys gave out some advice. Gave out some advice to the effect of like, here's what you can do to improve your chances. Because I actually think that's a really good thing that some community managers do. Because the fact of the matter is like. The search process of finding stuff to stream, finding, developers who are interested. Actually, you know what? Here's a game. I was really hoping to do a surprise on this one. If you guys like strategy games, I'm going to do this in future. But here's a strategy game that you probably didn't look at twice. And I opened it up to give it like a quick look. I wound up sinking like 2 hours into it. At like, I think I started at like 2 a.m. So like it was like 4 when I finished. This game's called High Strategy Urukon, Urukon. They reached out with a key a really long time ago. And I will do it. It's rather modestly priced. And again, if you look at it, it's because its visual style it's pretty simple. But man, when I sat down and tried it, it's imperfect, but there is a lot going on in that game, and it really like that really sunk in. So like I don't know whether or not this guy just blasted out to every channel, right? But they did a great job with it. This is one where it's like this is the sort of stuff I want to bring to people's attention because it's a complicated strategy. Like, so here's why I hope the developer reached out with that key. It's a complicated strategy game that people might overlook, may not want to play because it's complicated. I like doing that sort of stuff because obviously I'm not necessarily good at the games that I play, but I take a lot of time to explain why I'm taking certain actions. That's a perfect fit. And more importantly, it's a game where somebody might say, I never would have seen this thing if you hadn't streamed that. That's like my favorite thing to hear after doing a stream. So that's great. Like that's a great example of the search process working well. But the fact of the matter is that developer has probably got better things that they can do than going out and like researching every streamer, right? I'm sure they did. I mean, they're a small developer, so it might be that in this case, this is a better use of their time than paying for like Reddit ads or something like that. So, the next thing you can do is if you have some reputation, you have content creators who reach out to you. And obviously these are people who are probably interested in your games already. There's obviously going to be some people who are trying to, just try and get something for a key reseller and whatnot. That's always a risk. But in some cases, there are going to be people who just don't come off well. They might be a perfect fit for your game, but the presentation is very inelegant. And people being willing to say, here is what we look for in an application is really helpful in terms of just lowering the noise. Because it also means the people who, legitimate people who are applying are reducing the noise means that those people are able to get the due attention. But again, you can turn that from a pure positive to a negative really quickly as soon as you start saying, look, it's simple. Because then that says to everyone who heard no and went in with the purest of intentions, who did everything that you said, it's like, you still screwed it up. What are you, some kind of an idiot? And that tone stuff is, it sucks, but it can mean the difference between a positive experience with a community and a negative one. A really good example, I really like the game Europa Universalis 4. I'm probably not going to wind up playing Europa Universalis 4 on stream, because the one time I did do it, basically a larger content creator than me came in, advertised that they were streaming. It was first of all a bunch of backseating. Larger content creator just kind of came in, advertised that they were going live to direct everyone towards their channel. It was not a fun experience. I did not, I enjoyed the game immensely. The type of people it attracted was really negative. And so as much as I enjoy Europa Universalis 4, I'm less likely to stream it because it attracts a certain type of environment that isn't rewarding to me. I might try it again in the future, you never know. But if you're curious, that's one of the reasons why I haven't done that particular game. And again, if your encounter with the community winds up being one of the representatives from the company, again, it can be one of these things where, in this particular case, I do sort of feel that my enthusiasm for Paradox is sort of dimmed as a result of this experience. Although, again, I keep it in a certain perspective. I'll still buy Paradox games. I'll still stream them. But obviously, if the source of keys sort of dries up over time, and I am preparing for that possibility, it does mean the Monday Paradox Day will go away, because obviously that day existed because of the fact that the relationship was a fairly good one. And like I said, you've got stuff like High Strategy, Eurocon, and Dwarf Fortress when that comes out with a Steam version. There's just so much other strategy stuff that I'm able to do. Dali Ardeli has invited you to join his concert in anticipation of the arriving Voidbringers. We should send some of our scientists to observe the spectacle and find out if these Voidbringers will become an actual threat. So it looks like I'm committed to the science no matter what, so we'll just accept that. My friend Naranga Odd, I have a trade for you. I could be a powerful ally to you. Let us form a stronger connect between our people. We should forge a non-aggression pact. I'm okay with that. I'm going to get... Actually, in fact, the best thing for me would be... I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it off, but what would be best for me is if I could secure non-aggression with the Amazon. Yeah, they don't like me enough. Levitation module supply status critically low. Options, trust Naranga Odd build. Sending component specification. Manufacture, YN. I will do this, but again, it's going to be one of my low priority quest. By the way, I'm really sorry for those of you who really don't care about this kind of stuff in the stream conversations. Like I said, in fact, the best example of bad behavior with regards to content creator keys, I remember when Total Biscuit didn't just they held a tantrum over the fact that they didn't get a Mass Effect Andromeda key. I believe what actually happened was the key was late, or it was sent and he didn't see it. But one way or the other, it wasn't just that it wasn't just that he got mad about it. He actually specifically pointed out smaller streamers who were streaming Andromeda. And of course, because it's the internet, this led to a bunch of people harassing those streams. I was absolutely appalled by that. So, it's a really terrible genre. But unfortunately, one of the reasons why I talk about it is because I also sort of know it's going to come up one way or the other. Because I've streamed because I've streamed Crusader Kings so much, people are going to want to know whether or not I'm streaming it. The question's going to come up. I tried to deal with it last Monday, but obviously it's coming up against now. So, and there's obviously new developments since then. So I figured I'd address it. I mean, the thing is that I know people really like him. That is not the first time he behaved that way. He's got a track record, or had a track record of that sort of stuff. The thing is, though, like, you have any number of things you can talk about. Like, so perfect example here, right? I have any number of things I can talk about on a stream. Why focus on this one negative, right? I'm perfectly enjoying Age of Wonders Planetfall. Looks like there's some fans of Age of Wonders 3 inside here. Fans of Paradox games. Flo, by the way, is a streamer. I feel bad I didn't mention that out before. There's, there's so many other positive things that I can talk about. So, some historical instance of a really well-known streamer being decidedly ungallant about about their relationship with EA. What's the point of that, right? Just as it is, it's a convenient enough discussion point. Oh, this is such a tough call. I don't know. I'm genuinely concerned that these 4 units are going to be able to pile on if I take out the sewer district. And I really don't have that much mobility afterwards. So I think I'm going to hide in the mountains. Here I'm going to try and farm a little bit of experience for this new unit. So I'm going to hold... Actually, here's what I can do. I can move in a little bit closer. This also gives me a chance to heal up a little bit. All right, the friendships we have forged are strong and bountiful, but they could be so much more. It's time for us to forge alliances, to build a great coalition, a new union that can stretch the stars. Make an alliance with 2 different players. We may be able to do that with the Voidbringers, we'll see.
Colony. Happiness event in colony.
Okay, that's nice. Again, we can afford the
Empire
deficits.
task completed.
We appreciate your offer and gladly accept. Defensive Pact we're waiting a while on, I think. All right, so let's see. I'm very curious what the AI does in retaliation here. When I have a full strength group ready to make the move on Sewer District, I'll go in. But I think if I take the 4 stack on my own, I'm going to be in trouble. I suspect probably they're just going to defend cause kicks. But we'll see.
If we only crawled upon our bellies, we would never know the flavor of the birds. Grow your wings and chase them into the air. It's time to put aside your fears and rule the skies. Shinsid Bonklal, Propagator Pilot.
Okay, so I sort of wanted to do Firebrand deployment. It is going to take me 11 turns, so let's consider just for a minute here what my other alternatives are. So I could try and do Sound Augmentation, which is a nice 20% bonus towards my units. The catch is that I'm going to be paying in Cosmite to improve them. I could do combat subroutines, so uploads repair subroutines to all friendly integrated units. They heal for 6 at the end of each turn for 2 turns. So that's 12 each turn that for each unit that takes damage. Great, thanks, Olaf. I was actually just about to say this is probably going to be my last turn because I also still need to record an episode of Morrowind, and I'm already an hour behind where I wanted to be for that. I also have some other stuff to do. And in about an hour, I also need to reach out to Amazon and see what's going on with that delivery. Like I said, it's been a hard week. But thanks for hanging out, Olaf. As always, I really appreciate you. I always appreciate you being here. All right, so I think I'm actually going to do the Firebrand deployment because, again, because of the Cosmite cost on the upgrades. I know I'm actually not going to get the benefit from that right away. So damage wasn't too bad.
Objective completed.
Oh, and we got a spare unit. All right. So now I'm a little more comfortable sort of showing my face. I do kind of want to make sure that people stay a bit clustered. Let's just stay put for now. We still need to get everyone sort of over the mountain. Yeah, that's not good. So I suspect some of the aerial units are gonna, or one of the, I have one aerial unit. I suspect there's gonna be a little trouble here because of the defensive structure. Oh, apparently the defensive structure isn't active. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, but... Okay, so the key question is always, are any of these units able to do an attack? If not, I'm actually perfectly okay with holding them back for a reply. Wait a minute, I lost a unit to a stack of 4? That doesn't make any sense. I could convert to a frenzied. I think I'm just going to take the chip on the engulfer. Cool. I wasn't thinking that was going to work. So this is where I would have put... This is the cost, right? As soon as I run them ahead, then I have to deal with that. All right, the tactician... So this is vulnerable to an AoE. I just don't... Or actually, hang on. No, it's not. I want to keep him around because basically I'll try and do the heal on this unit, actually. I get that for free already. This is the come and get me beacon. So a lot of this was about setup. I don't want to give them too many excuses to put damage on my people. I think psionic mending is a once off. Yeah, so they just wasted that. I'm totally fine with a bit of choking vomit on my infiltrator. Okay, I wasn't expecting to, but... fair enough. I really didn't think that they were going to be getting that close. Okay, so I got to make some decisions in terms of how I'm taking on the bad guys. First of all, Sonopulse on the Engulfer. It's basically just doing whatever damage I can to the first target of opportunity. Regrettably, the Sleeper Agent is not in a place where I can make magic happen. And the funny thing is I actually don't need to worry about cover with these units. So somebody is going to have to do... Actually, here's what we're going to do. I should have paid attention as to how close they... I'll take the grays.
Enemy eliminated.
So at some point I need to get the stagger on the Transcendent, but I'm actually trying to decide if it's better that I just stay as the infiltrator or if I do convert to a frenzied. So I do 16, they do 10. Yeah, it's better. Better for me to run it. Now, the reason why I'm not going to take cover here is that there's not a whole lot. I mean, it's only the Transcendent that has the ranged attack for me to worry about. So here, being able to fire, like just do a straight fire on the on this unit here is better than taking cover that's going to be redundant as soon as they get into melee range. Oh, great. If I can take him out this turn. All right, well, wasn't the best probability to hit, so. What I was hoping to do was be able to tie this guy up into melee, so let's get another unit. Now, Naranga is going to have a bit of a tough time with this, but...
Enemy killed.
There we go. So I know I'm not going to be able to... Oh, god damn it. I wanted to go in for melee. That's going to suck for this guy. So the other thing is I need to make sure that I stagger this guy. Okay, it was the beacon. I was like, what unit did I just lose?
Enemy eliminated.
It's pure and simple, like a hammer to the forebrain. Okay, so this guy doesn't have a melee attack. I don't know why I thought he did. So the first thing I want to do is try and do some kind of a stun. I basically need to cancel the melee overwatch. So this is a job for recon first. Obviously, it would be nice if I can. It would be nice if I can get a. Well, I can get a flank, but the thrice repeating is a little more important. So melee overwatch canceled. And in fact, at this point, it doesn't really matter who I do it with.
Our forces are victorious.
So, I mean, not, let's face it, not an ideal run, but a hell of a lot better than what the AI did. So I am sort of making a statement here that I'm gonna be able to keep this. This may not be the smartest choice, actually. Because if they want, they attack this, they rope this guy into the combat, and Naranga's not able to help. Alright, so what are we up against here? Okay, so it's not... Yeah, it's a lot of mercenaries and... Like, this is not... This is still not like a pushover force. This is not going to be easy to take over. But I think the approach that I want to take is I combine my forces and we attack this part because that means I go after this little triangle here. When I take them out, then I take the base, and that means this little unit is left behind. Oh, and their morale is in the toilet. No, that's their relationship, not their morale. Their morale is fine.
Operations available for priming.
You'll need to rethink this relationship of ours, Naranga Odd. You're a warmongering brute and a disgrace to your kind. You see nothing beyond the scope of a weapon. Shame on you. Alright. Again, the important thing here is... Actually, I can slightly improve... Yeah, if I slightly improve my situation by making a triangle here. And as long as we beat our commander, I'll be happy. I don't think they'll abandon their base with the commander so close. In fact, if anything, I might be clearing out the base for the commander to take it over from me. It might make sense for me to wait a turn. Also, I'm an idiot. I should have saved at the start of the next turn, not the end. Okay. I'm gonna save here. I am gonna cheat a little bit because I sort of want to see what the shape of things to come is. First Minister Tholian, attention, all senators evacuate the premises immediately. This is an emergency situation. I repeat, everyone needs to take the readied shuttles now. Mellow energy, taste of white strains, mellow reality waiting for for harvest. Communion will commence. Blah! The Elop politicians are scattering to the headquarters of their military commanders like scared cattle fleeing the slaughter. Normally I do not like it when others do my work, but in the end, victory and glory will still be ours. I find it hard to share your enthusiasm, my Chancellor. What happens if these Voidbringers should target one of our own divisions with their next attack? When their deployments happen out of the blue like this, how are we supposed to defend against them? Constant pessimism is starting to become a nuisance, General Naranga. Do you truly have so little trust in the planning and military leadership of your Chancellor? We must first press our advantage in order to eradicate the Elop commanders. Afterwards, we can still fish for your Krakens. Leaders of the Elop Confederation have fled from the interplanetary Elop Senate to the headquarters of their commanders. We need to crush them all. I wonder if it's possible to capture the Senate. After that event. Or before that event happens. Alright, so again, the idea here is to try and form as many triangles as I can to... Ooh, looks like I'm vulnerable on this front. But I don't see any way that the AI runs through like that. Entity Naranga Odd, you've ignored our request to stop helping Autonom enemies. The price has been set to maintain Autonom relations. Despite our attempts to grow on their warm towers, these Autonom insist that we cannot grow our vines on them. We need only strengthen. They need only strengthen their cables, but we must grow over the high spots to receive Sonoral's kiss. Destroy those that cut and clear away our vines. So I always accept by default. If I fail, I fail, but it's a penalty that I pay later. Again, we're keeping everybody static because positioning is incredibly important. In this case. And I really didn't mean it when I said that's the last turn. Actually, I'm mostly just kind of taking a look to see what happens when... to sort of see what the commander does in the next turn and to get an idea of what kind of a force I'm going to be facing. Void Beacon has landed, destroying an entire sector. There seems to be an impenetrable barrier around it. Like I said, this is definitely the sort of stuff that makes me really like the single-player campaign. There's always like a twist. There's something. There's the sort of stuff that you just can't do in a multiplayer or a skirmish. No! What are you doing? I mean, at this point, the AI is almost certainly going to come in and charge that. That's a... Yeah, so basically it's kind of a base race. The catch here is that if I attack this forward one, then that just gives the commander the opportunity to clean up this unit. I actually need to get a unit out and around to be able to attack this hex, and that means that there's going to be 3 in defense. So actually, with that in mind, I mean, at this point, I'm just... This is, again, I really shouldn't be playing this game this way, but I'm curious. So if I just let the boss man do all the work.
Operations available for priming.
I'm not saving any of this stuff no matter what happens. This is where I regret not investing more in my military
Production
infrastructure.
ready.
So I'm curious. I don't think there's a way that the commander actually takes the base this turn. Oh, is he avoiding a fight too? Yeah, so we're both doing the exact same thing. Oh wow, I have some hard decisions about what units I want to bring. So if they were to attack Naranga Odd here, I don't know, we'd still be fine. So I'm mildly curious, if we were to do this... Yeah, so in that situation, well, we wouldn't get the reinforcements anyway. But if we did this... Ah, interesting. So we do actually get... We get to leverage the commander's power.
Operations
But again,
available
if I
for
play
priming.
selfishly... So basically, the thing I'm testing right now is how the AI handles a situation like this. Does it try... Like, so as far as I can tell... I've closed off all of the entries to the city, and so if they want to attack the
Production ready.
if they want to attack the
Production ready.
city, they'll
Copy
wipe
this
out the defense
effective
force, but they won't actually take it. I just want to see if that's actually true or not. So I did say it was the last turn, but I'm curious. I know I'm not... If I start the stream this way, it's next week it's going to be a bit of a clown show. So if I auto it... That's cool that they let you share the responsibility. So I lost a unit out of that. But yeah, so that's good to know. So one, if you have an ally, they will be brought into the fight. If you have a, if the AI will not hesitate to soften the defenses. Although obviously that's a battle that I would want to do on my own so that I don't lose my units. This is the campaign I was playing, by the way. So there's the this is a nice cutscene and all, but I just want to show you. This is the length of the base game campaign, as you can see, quite a bit. Keep in mind the first one is the tutorial. So, but other than that, there's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 missions in the campaign, and then I believe there's 2 for each DLC, so it's up to 17 missions now that share sort of a common story across different species. Now, it is worth remembering, so this is the big thing. This is one of the reasons why it's... I don't feel compelled to like sell the game when I do the broadcasting. That would be like if I was paid as a marketing person. I'm given a key to like generate content for it, and I think the best way, again, the hope is that you minimize the distance on the matching problem. Some of you are going to want to play this game. It is currently on sale on Humble, by the way, so whether or not you use my affiliate link, this is probably the lowest... Humble's probably the place you can get it at the lowest price at the moment. But the one thing that I do kind of need to do is I don't know how good Planetfall has been at sort of conveying the value proposition. So I've been just doing the campaign lately. If you are a fan of a game like Civilization, and you want, how like in Civilization you say, generate the world, I want to play on Pangea, I want to play on Prince difficulty, I'm gonna be Rome this time or something like that. That's not campaign mode. Campaign mode is a separate thing that Triumph has brought in. If you want to play it like you normally play a 4X game, what you do is you do New Planet. Some of these have come with like the special edition of the game and the extra DLC, so you're not necessarily going to have... I think the Infested World, Conquered World, and Tomb Worlds are ones that come from DLC. Again, you can take a look at the when you buy it either on Humble, Steam, Paradox Store. I believe this is available on GOG. Wherever you buy your games, take a second to make sure that you're getting what you sort of sign up for. But like for those of you who are wanting the like Civilization style experience, maybe the story doesn't speak to you, or you say, okay, I've gone through the story, I'm maybe not so interested in the scenarios or whatever. On top of the 17 missions that are sort of they're full length, there's a lot to do in them. It's taken me multiple streams to get through each of them. You have all of this. These are more than just skins. Like, these are an entire set of sort of conditions that you're going to be dealing with. Then, of course, you have advanced setup. So again, this is really starting to get close to how you start a Civilization game. So on top of everything that I've done, and I mean, I've done quite a few streams of Age of Wonders Planetfall now, I haven't actually shown you the part that is the I just want to sit down and play Planetfall mode, instead of the like I'm playing the Planetfall campaign. And I'll be completely honest with you, for the next few streams that I do Planetfall, I'm probably just going to be doing story missions and stuff like that. One last thing I'll mention, which again, this has been a feature of Age of Wonders 3, Age of Wonders Planetfall. I love the personality behind the different characters that you can play. I will admit, I'm not 100% sure as far as building your hero, like whether or not there's a hero that you want to build that isn't already available inside here. But there is something to be said for being able to, I think a lot of you know that I have sort of a story bent to a lot of stuff that I do. I just happen to like that, that sort of thing. So... I will do the background later. But yeah, here I'm making an assembly character. Let's remove the... I gotta do a big... This is a big brutal guy. So yeah, this will actually. So yeah, here's an idea that I want to do. So this is one of the things I really like about commander customization here. You've seen the mechanical side of things, which is my race, my secret technology, and then there are some starting conditions. So in this case here, I chose Xenoplague Close Combat. This is just the basic one. I chose Cruel, which is a vice. But that was so that I could get martial tradition. Weapon expertise decreases weapon research cost by 25%. And then Ruthless Killer once per turn. When your commander kills a unit in combat, they immediately regain 1 action point. So this is going to be somebody who is very focused on getting inside and just tearing things apart. And so in creating this commander, what I want to focus on is maybe somebody who'd kind of be a big bruiser in normal circumstances. And yet, for whatever reason, even though they are endowed with an unusually strong frame, they've still been replaced and sort of redesigned. And what I'd be particularly interested in actually is to try and get more of these points where like the body's just missing. And so you kind of have this 7 foot tall like slab of meat that would normally just beat you up. But there's like holes inside of it. That's going to be sort of the idea that I try and communicate through this design. And again, at this point, there's nothing really that's happening to make the game any different. I just kind of want to work out a particular look. This almost looks like the head was manufactured. I'm not 100% on that. You can sort of see the replacement of the jaw. Maybe we just keep the head normal. There's other augmentation we can do for the head. So what are we going to do eyes-wise? Ideally pale eyes so that there's like the idea here is that I want something that has just the borderline of unnatural, but could still credibly be something that a biological, yeah. That's close. It's maybe a little brighter than what I want. Is there an option? Is there like a... No, I mean, I think this is somewhat credible. Do I get eyebrows? I get brows. I guess it's the intensity of my brow. Try and make that as close to a straight line as I can. I don't think you get... I think the only option you get is... Okay, well, there's a mohawk. Maybe. But yeah, it looks like it's mostly dreads for the assembly. Now, the jaw is going to be a tough one, because again, I sort of talked about how keeping it as a normal face is one. So, Bane mode, maybe, but it does really get in the way of the jaw. Yeah, so in this case, we'll just keep the face may be a little unadorned, but we'll see if we can get some more expression in the form of the body. So oh, this is interesting. So the brawn is communicated entirely through the machines, but that would mean that the legs have to be fleshy. So one of the reasons I chose this is that I'm not 100% convinced. Oh, this is interesting. This is, I kind of like this because this is a really brutal kind of look for the machinery, but there's still kind of implied strength around the abdomen. The thing I didn't like was like, this is not exactly the kind of person you're terrified of. A lot of these are a little scrawny, or they're kind of wearing baggy clothing. I want this guy to like fill up his uniform. So, but this is really neat. So like, this is where you'd normally see all the power for someone, and it's hollow. So again, what I'm trying to do is imply mass, even though the game doesn't necessarily give you the options. So again, let's see if we can find some meaty legs. Not too many options for legs, sadly. So again, we'll go for bulk. I'm not so sure how I feel about the symmetry on these, to be honest. These are interesting. I think I'm going to go for these. We'll see if we can break the symmetries through other methods. Okay, so head items give me a chance to... Oh, wait, but yeah, these head items are for just everything. So for those of you who are fans of Triumph, you'll know where this comes from. I believe if you got the deluxe edition... Oh, no, hang on. This is a basic... This is actually kind of funny, but maybe a little too funny for what I want to do here. This came in Revelations. I was hoping just sort of for like a technical augmentation. I mean, a helmet wouldn't be a disaster. We don't have to do a head item, maybe just the accessory. Okay, yeah, so this definitely tells a little bit more of a story. So I think here the hair isn't an option. Not too much by way of capes. Well, this might be interesting, actually. Yeah, I think we'll go without the cape. I wonder... This is one of these cases where it's like, I'll know it when I see it. Last name Professor. Oh, no, name Professor. Okay. Man, the Professor really messes you up because this is not a guy you'd associate with a professor. I think I might save this just because this is inherently interesting. Okay, so we've got the general shape of the person. I'll maybe reconsider whether... Yeah, no, we'll keep that as is. I forgot that the assembly doesn't quite have the variety that I'm used to with some of the other ones. So now we'll pick a posture. I think I know what background I'm going to go for. I actually think the fact that he just kind of stands there, both in terms of supreme confidence, but maybe the idea... Oh, no, he still turns around. But there's almost something sort of mechanical in the fact that there's not unnecessary movement as opposed to this one. Actually, this one might have even less movement. So it's funny, like, there's all the motion inside here for, like, breathing and whatnot. This is the problem I have with it, is that there's no lungs. So, like, the movement of the body here... doesn't quite make as much sense to me as this one, where I would rather kind of prefer them standing there. I can live with this, though. The other poses, I don't know, I just kind of like the idea of something... Again, the idea is to communicate, like, solidness. All right, so finally, background. We do have Xenoplague, but we're not married to that. The other thing is that the background does determine some lighting, so... Yeah, so this would be the Xenoplague background. Not quite where I want it to be. Yeah, so... There's a couple of sort of biological-oriented ones. This is tempting. But I actually kind of like this planet. It's also just kind of because of the green tinge. So I did like one of those because it showed off the shoulders really well. Yeah, I can see this working. All right, so given the fact I'm keeping this one, I'll just take a quick minute here. Green, well, that's an Amazon color, so maybe the dark blue is the way we go. Can I get away with gray, maybe? Doesn't seem to be a gray, but the base color of black is like my default, so I'm trying to avoid that sort of thing. Oh yeah, actually the pale green works really nice. Rusty blade. Yeah. All right. I can see this working. So I'm actually mildly curious now. So if we take a look at the assembly, I'm curious if there's a comparable one. So there's one Xenoplague. That's this unit. So yeah, I don't know. I'll keep them around. I'll admit. Oh hey, Remarkable Frisbee. Sorry, I was actually getting ready to wrap up, but I'm now like an hour past where I wanted to be. But I'll admit the commander creation is something that I tend to get a bit lost in. I don't know. I like this. I like this guy that I made. But this is, I think, kind of comes back to the reason why I play Age of Wonders Planetfall the way that I do. I really like the campaign. I feel like Triumph put a lot of effort into making something that was, really made for people. Like, I like campaigns. I like single player experiences. That doesn't mean that I don't do multiplayer. It's just, I really enjoy being able to sit down and say, I'm going to play X. And, I don't go in and I don't need to deal with voice chat. I don't need to deal with griefing. I don't need to deal with, not being on top of my game and like losing 20 in a row or something like that. It's just, I'm going to focus on the game as opposed to the people playing the game. Obviously, it depends on what game you're playing too. Like some games can basically be a little bit more frustrating in terms of other players' behavior than others. But, that my go-to is really, I want to sit down, and if I feel like I want to play a game, I am going to get my gaming experience for today, my default choice is single player. And what I like is that I think Planetfall is a perfectly enjoyable game as something that you can play with other people, something that you can play and move through, just try and gain the upper hand without there being any kind of scenario-based events that get in the way. But the fact that Triumph put the effort into creating an interesting science fiction world and a lot of personality in, the fact that I take the time and I spend more time messing around with conveying a personality through the shape of my assembly commander, the mechanics for the commander kind of communicate why I think the campaign mode is the thing that keeps bringing me back to Planetfall. It's something that I sort of feel, there's a lot there. There's certainly a lot to enjoy, but it's really done. It's done a very good job of sort of establishing itself as a full experience, right? Like most people, I think if you play a strategy game, they'll be able to forgive a little bit less story or a little bit less in terms of, motivations for characters or all of that. But, interesting planets, different factions with weird backstories, playing around with some of the conventions that you'd see in normal science fiction and whatnot. This is all stuff that really works for me on Age of Wonders Planetfall. And, it's rewarding to go back. I've never actually played with any of these custom commanders, but it's fun nonetheless. So anyways, thank you guys for sharing this game with me. I will probably be back to it next week. Let me just take a quick minute here. I got to reopen my browsers so that you won't be able to hear the music, sadly. But let's see who is online and if there's somebody I can give a host to. All right. My God. Afterburner 2 theme. It's actually a waveform representation of it. So, there's a few people online that I'd like to share. W. Shand on his other channel is actually doing Blasphemous, which I think is kind of funny, but I think we're going to send it off to Ponce, who is currently playing a game called Star Renegades, which seems to be the in thing right now. But I have no idea what it is. So I'm partially hosting him so I can find out what that game is. Ponce used to do a lot of League of Legends. Now he does a bit of everything. Actually, if you like Crusader Kings, or not Crusader King, if you like Dark Souls, he does a lot of it and he does it very well. But he just, actually, you know what I should have done? I should have seen if anybody else is streaming Planetfall. Nobody is. Okay, so I feel a little bit better about that. But yeah, Ponce is definitely very relaxed, very enjoyable streamer. I highly recommend you stick around and check him out. Somebody I've had the pleasure of sharing more than a few drinks with, actually. He's a nice guy, and I hope you guys have a good time watching him. Until then, I'm going to be recording the Morrowind episode tonight, so I'll probably see some of you tomorrow evening when that goes live. No stream on Wednesday because of the Dirty Rectangles game developer meetup or online meetup for Ottawa, but I will be back on Friday, and I suppose I need to pick a new game. Maybe Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. We'll see. Anyways, have a good night, guys. Thank you very much for watching.